Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. The Hades of Marvel, Hela, She Became My Wife. Chapter 1. In the boundless desert, two figures, one black and one green, are constantly walking. Obviously the scorching heat was unbearable, but the two figures didn't seem to feel anything. The black figure at the moment wears a long hat. This black figure is Hu Chang. I said, Hela, you could really try that white impermanence suit I prepared for you. Our Oriental culture pays attention to the mutual generation of yin and yang, whether it is black and white, or male and female, all represent yin and yang. As the so-called men and women match, work is not tiring. You and I are together, black and white are distinct, yin and yang are in harmony. It's time to work. Quote, Hu Chang at the moment looked serious. Beside him, that green figure is Hela, the goddess of death. Daughter of Odin, first heir to the throne of Asgard. One of the 9 realms, the owner of Hades. A goddess who should have been sealed by Odin. At the moment Hela looks like she's only in her 20s. The face is exquisite, fair skin, graceful figure. And maybe because of being with Hu Chang for too long. Her attire is also becoming more oriental. The original green tights also became a green gown. Chin, don't go too far, agreeing to give you Helheim as the underworld is already the biggest concession. Hela, don't be so wronged, that's our deal. You give me access to Helm, and I will bring your soul out of Odin's seal. Helheim has been in chaos for nearly 2,000 years without management. Or did I take the time to reorganize it? The Yinsao Jifu was established to allow them to survive in an orderly manner. The orderly Hades makes your soul a lot stronger. This is a mutually beneficial matter. When you are lifted from the seal, your strength is estimated to become stronger. I really don't understand, why do you gods in charge of hell think that the underworld should be chaotic? Hades is the abode of the soul. Can you see if the underworld I transformed is better than the Hades you managed? Quote, Hu Chang subtly and constantly changed Hela's mind. He is a time traveler named Chin Hao. The system gave him an ultimate mission. Build the underworld in this Marvel universe. Snatch this side of the world's control over the soul. The first task given by the system at that time was to choose a place to build a layer of hell. Barely knowing some of the situation, he directly chose Helm Hades controlled by Hela. As the underworld, it attracts souls. Here originally it is possible to communicate with the 9 realms. Gemengguan and Wangquan Road are erected here. You can easily enter the 9 realms to receive souls. Countless things are directly saved. Another point is that the goddess of death was sealed by Odin. This can be regarded as a no-man's land. So here is a perfect place. But when the system generates the Hall of Kings of Hell, it actually touched the divinity of Hades, and the divinity directly summoned Hela's soul. Seeing that his Hades was occupied by people, Hela was also out of breath. It's a pity that her body is sealed, her divine power is also sealed, and her soul power is limited. After some communication, Hela was forced to reach an agreement. Chin Hao uses Hades, but guarantees that Hela's soul will not be sealed. This is the deal between them. At the moment Hela twitched when she heard Hu Chang's words. He was right. Ever since Chin Hao reorganized Hades, her own godhead is much stronger. Under such circumstances, once she breaks through the seal, her personal strength can definitely surpass Odin. Chin Hao looked at Hela's pensive look. He knew that he was one step closer to Hela's heart. He hastened to strike while the iron was hot. If Hela is directly instigated, Hades will really become a layer of hell. Also, I showed you Hu Chang's model. Don't you think that's really pretty? Your long legs, tisk tisk. Your graceful figure, tisk tisk. Your fair skin, tisk tisk. With a white impermanence attire. Perfect. Quote, anyway, it doesn't cost money to praise people. If you praise the other party more, you may turn the other party into one of your own. The look that Chin Hao has been talking about is the female Hu Chang in Painting Rivers and Lakes. That look, whether it's animation or live-action TV, has received a lot of praise. Definitely, Chin Hao is also a little bit looking forward to how a Westerner will wear Oriental clothes. Anyway, appearance is justice. The elf queen looked like a fairy in white clothes. Changing to the impermanent suit, the effect should be good, right? Hearing Hu Chang's praise, even Hela's eyes lighted up a little. Is it true that I am also perfect in the eyes of the Eastern death god? Hey, Maybe you can really try that look when no one is around. She thought. Moreover, she is a soul body. Phases are born from the heart. As long as you think about it, a little outfit change is fine. But she immediately dismissed the idea. She didn't want to transform in front of Chin Hao. I need to change the subject quickly. HMPH, I recently learned about your Eastern underworld. There are 10 halls of Hades, and there are also black and white impermanence. But impermanence is just handsome. I am the goddess of death in Hades. The first heir to the god king of Asgard. In your east, is it worth a handsome man? Quote. Hela's tone was full of arrogance and arrogance. Her majestic death goddess sits in Helheim. His father is Odin, god king and the first heir of Asgard. In the future, there are 2 worlds of Helm, Hades and Asgard. To you, it's only worth a handsome guy. Hades. I have to be king anyway, right? Snort. It's so contemptuous. Chin Hao was slightly surprised. Hela seems to be really busy these days. Female Hades. When I think of a group of people with white skin and blue eyes and dark skin and brown eyes being the king of Hades. He doesn't feel good at all. If you don't want to be the king of Hades, then you have to solve Hela's request. I have used her territory. When she breaks the seal and comes out, something might happen. You also know that there are 18 levels of hell in the east, or else, you are the master of the 19 levels of hell. The lord of the 19th floor of hell. Hela was a little puzzled. That's right, I told you that there is a yin emperor in our eastern hell. Just like what you call Satan in western hell, that is the one with the highest status. The king of Hades, the 10 temples of the eastern hell, has been occupied, and it is not easy for you to become king. Is it possible that you, a foreign goddess of death, can single out 10 people alone? However, if another layer of hell is built outside their jurisdiction, they will not be able to control it. In that layer of hell, you can be king. And to be honest, I would rather be impermanent than Hades. Hades deals with countless things in the underworld on a daily basis. There is no time to even leave the underworld. Unlike impermanence, you can go anywhere anytime, anywhere. Do you still want to live in Asgard forever like Odin? Quote. Chin Hao continued to persuade. Challenge Hades, living in the palace for a long time. You Hela's temperament, can you sit still? Hela thought for a rare moment after hearing the words. HMPH, even so, I won't be your yin handsome. Her tone became more and more arrogant. But it was obvious that he was already moved. It has been sealed for more than 1,000 years. She yearns for freedom far more than ever. Even in war, she is at the forefront. So if she is really allowed to handle government affairs in the palace of the king of Hades, it is estimated that she will have to give up her pick in a few days. She is moved. Chin Hao continued to strike while the iron was hot. Hela, you can really think about it. Look at me now, the yin god is traveling, and my strength is not bad. If you accept the order of impermanence, even if the body and divinity are sealed by Odin, the strength of yin god will be greatly improved. When the time comes to break Odin's seal, you are still the god king. At that time, you will have 3 tiers of identities. In flesh you were the god king of Asgard, lord of the 9 realms. You can be the Helheim goddess of death while the yin god is out. It can also be by Hu Chang in our eastern underworld. Think about it, where did you lose? Quote. Hela took a look at Chin Hao upon hearing this. She knew what Chin Hao said was right. Chin Hao's physical strength is not strong. But his soul power is really powerful. Even if it's not as good as your former self. Not far off. If Hela's body and divinity were not sealed, her soul is fully capable of exerting all the power of her physical body. But now, the strength she can display is only at the level of an ordinary Asgard. She became more and more excited. I want to go back to Eludinir's palace in Helm Hades. Try by Hu Chang's attire. Also try the power of impermanence. However, she would not admit it in front of Chin Hao. HMPH, I don't. She arrogantly stopped talking. Chin Hao was helpless. Take your time with these things. If he succeeded, he would directly have a general under his command. If it doesn't work, just wait until you occupy her Hyam Hades and directly transform it into a layer of hell. The only problem is that it has to be done before Hela is unblocked. There are not many years left for myself. And let Hela be the master of a prison. This was a decision Chin Hao had made after thinking for a long time. Keep the traditional 18 levels of hell for yourself. But besides the 18 levels of hell, what if I allow her to be the master of one level of hell? I have no experience in building hell. It happens to be able to practice with Hades. Even if something happens, just abandon this layer of hell. At least without affecting the underlying system. Wait until your own strength is strong, and then find Marvel's native death god to grab the site. I am now because of the relationship between strength and to be more in line with the legend. That's why he used the identity of Hu Chang to walk in the world. At this moment, Chin Hao's eyes lit up. Hey, it's here. In the vast desert, at the moment was full of people. What are you doing here? Is there any special soul here? Hela knows that Chin Hao has no benefit and can't afford it early. This time the Ghost Gate projection cannot be opened here, which proves that there is no dead man here. Then there is only one possibility, there is a special soul here. I'll find out soon. Chin Hao walked among the crowd on his own. No one can see him and Hela. Entering a cave, a person is lying on a simple, operating table. The other had blood on his hands. Knife, I need a knife. You, sterilize this knife well. Be careful, if he dies, your plan will not succeed. Hurry up, have you brought the clean gauze I want? Quote. Beside him, some people clumsily beat him up. The one lying on the operating table is none other than Marvel's famous Tony Stark. At the moment, it was when Ethan operated on Tony. Hu Chang walked to the edge of the operating table. The morning stick flicked lightly over Tony. Tony's soul instantly sat up. His eyes were extremely blank, watching the people around him pass through his current body with a knife and a hemostat. Then he constantly moved the knife on his lying body. On his chest, at the moment, there was a big hole with bloody flesh. The ribs were amputated straight away, and a doctor was constantly clipping bits of metal from his chest under crude conditions. Obviously no pain, but he still felt goosebumps all over his body. Even the phantom of his soul kept trembling. Don't move, if you move again you will die. At this moment, a voice sounded beside him. Tony's soul phantom really didn't move. He turned his head to look at Chin Hao and Hela with a surprised expression. Who are you? I am Hu Chang from the underworld, and he is Hela, the goddess of death from Hades. Hell, Hu Chang, underworld, goddess of death. Tony's expression turned from one of surprise to horror in an instant. Am I dead? Am I dead? Tony's tone was horrified. Not yet, but your lifespan is indeed numbered. Chin Hao explained. Tony looked even worse. Dying. Really dying. He doesn't want to die. No one wants to die. It took a long time before he replied, and then turned his head slowly. I thought that heaven and hell are all lies, and only modern science is real. Heaven and hell are used by those people to control believers. Even if someone scolds me for producing weapons and killing my own kind, I will go to hell. Because I always thought that what I did was a good thing, that I was contributing to the military and maintaining world peace. But now it seems that this idea is too naive. Quote, Tony at the moment was extremely depressed. I actually want to go to hell. Don't worry, that's just the hell you're talking about. You're going to our eastern hell. I've reserved a job for you. Hu Chang Chin Hao directly stated his reason for coming. Hell, eastern hell, position, isn't it the same? Tony was stunned. What this black-clothed oriental death god said directly exceeded the myths and legends he knew. Hell, shouldn't the most evil people have jobs? Like fallen angel Lucifer. Like Hades. Could it be, I'm also the most evil? Chin Hao ignored Tony's idea, and a token appeared in his hand. The underworld is naturally different. This is the proof that you will enter the underworld to obtain a position in the future. What is this? The name is Soul Evoking Order. Soul Ecstasy Order. Ecstasy, representing the underworld. With this, Tony will become Chin Hao's subordinate ecstasy envoy in the future. Even when Tony died, Chin Hao didn't come to pick him up. The other party will also automatically pass through the Ghost Gate and enter Wangquan Road. What does it do? Looking at Wuchangling, Tony felt the urge to grab it and study it carefully. This is something from hell. The biggest effect for you is to allow you to serve in the underworld, so that you can be exempted from punishment by virtue of the merits of the underworld. What you did in the world, you will be tortured for at least 100 years in hell, just like this torture. Quote. Chin Hao flicked the morning stick in his hand. The black cloth swept over Tony. Tony's soul became extremely painful in an instant. Pain, itching, sorrow and grief, fear, countless feelings arose in his soul. That pain even affects reality. Ethan, who was undergoing surgery, saw Tony constantly shaking. Tony's heartbeat was even more chaotic. Atrial fibrillation. No, you must not have an accident. You, quickly give me the hemostat. You, prepare the adrenaline for me, and I will let you inject it later. The electromagnet I made, you quickly bring it to me. Quote. Ethan at the moment had to speed up the procedure. Chin Hao swept over Tony again. Tony's soul, which was in great pain just now, returned to normal in an instant. However, the feeling of terror is still unforgettable. Is that what hell feels like? Tony at the moment is really scared. 100 years of torture. He absolutely can't bear it. No, that's just one of hell's punishments. 18 layers of hell, it depends on which layers you will go through. Or, you will experience all the punishments in the 18th hell. Quote. Chin Hao at the moment seemed to be smiling expectantly. But this smile was extremely evil in Tony's eyes. Hell demon. No, why do you want me to be your envoy? Tony Stark is indeed a smart person, he thought of something in an instant. A hell death god, why would he talk to himself so negociably? This, unusual. Immediately afterwards, he turned his gaze to death god Hela. Also, you are the Western death god, why did you let an Eastern death god pull me to the Eastern hell? Is there something special about my soul? Quote. Upon hearing Tony's words, Hela became interested in an instant. It's interesting. This is the second person who asked this question so clearly. No wonder you came here in person. She didn't answer Tony's words. Instead, he looked at Chin Hao. Chin Hao looked at Tony. Your soul is indeed a little special, but that's not important. I came to you only because your deeds brought many souls to the underworld. Goddess Hela knows exactly what those souls do. Quote. The more souls there are, the stronger the underworld. Hela explained. However, she didn't explain why she asked Chin Hao to pull his soul to the Eastern hell. And upon hearing this, Tony's eyes froze. His own weapons must have killed countless people. That made hell stronger. Does the other party think that he also has the potential to become a death god? So, do you accept a position from the underworld? Chin Hao interrupted Tony's thinking and continued to ask. For a moment Tony recalled the pain he had just felt. I have the option to accept the position, but I also have a requirement. A request. It's the first time I've negotiated conditions with Death God. Hela at the moment chuckled. Oh, tell me about it then. Chin Hao was also a little curious about what the other party wanted. Since you are the Death God, please show the power of the Death God. I will kill all those who harmed me this time. Tony made his request directly. You sure? I am sure. Chin Hao smiled, and then directly took out a booklet and a pen. Book of Life and Death. Samsara pen. Immediately afterwards, he took a pen and seemed to tick off the booklet. A person at the entrance of the cave fell to the ground in an instant. Tony. This is one person dead. Draw a stroke, it's dead man. The other dangerous elements who were guarding at the moment shouted angrily. They raised their guns and looked in all directions. Did someone attack? However, there is no one else here. Immediately afterwards, Chin Hao swiped his pen again. A person who was operating on Tony also fell to the ground in an instant. Tony. It really is. One stroke kills a person. Is the Eastern Death God so powerful? Moreover, the second person died. Even Ethan, who was attending Tony, was shocked. Could it be that this is poisoned? Otherwise, how could it be so? He subconsciously put on the mask better. I don't know if it's useful. But there is a lot of psychological comfort. Chin Hao picked up his pen, ready to strike again. Stop, 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 stop. Tony at the moment frantically stopped. He is in a hurry. It doesn't matter if the guards outside are dead. But this group of people who healed themselves can't die yet. If you die, don't you also die? What the hell? Why is my life so hard? If you die, you will go to hell. Even if he was alive, he would be surrounded by people who harmed him. Don't you want them to die? The 2 people who died just now are also counted on your head, and you will be punished in hell for a little longer. Chin Hao said indifferently at the moment. And Tony was stunned. Is this still on my head? Definitely. After all, you are not dead yet, and you are not an employee of my underworld. After Chin Hao finished speaking, he squinted at the erotic order. The meaning is obvious. If you accept the soul seduction order, then you are your own. Tony thought for a while longer. During this period of time, Ethan even installed the electromagnet on his chest. Tony's physical heartbeat at the moment was barely audible. It seemed that he could die at any moment. Thinking of the 100 years of torture after his death, he decisively picked up the soul seduction order. I agreed. Seeing Tony pick up the haunting token, Chin Hao smiled. It's done. Ding. The underworld has been bound to the soul of a key person, and the underworld has the priority to collect the soul. Reward 1. The authority of the underworld in Helm's underworld has been increased. Reward 2. The physical strength of the host is improved. Reward 3. The strength of the host's soul is improved. The sound of the system constantly sounds. He glanced casually at his system. Name: Chin Hao. Identity: creator of the underworld. Owns the underworld. Heim Hades. Ultimate mission: establishing the underworld. Chin Hao felt his own strength. Because of the establishment of the relationship between the underworld, his yin god, that is, his soul, is much stronger than his physical body. His physical body at the moment may have reached the level of Spider-Man's physical body. 10 to 20 tons of power is already very strong, at least on Earth. And his at the moment's soul power may be stronger than Hela's. In other words, his soul has reached level Godfather. More importantly, because it is a yin god, it has a miraculous effect on soul attacks. If he really meets someone to fight with him, his combat power will definitely rise to another level. It's like the Ancient One beat the Hulk. Unless you meet a master who is also good at attacking souls like Ancient One. Otherwise, the opponent has almost no power to fight back. The reason why Chin Hao came here to meet Tony was because Tony at the moment suffered a life and death crisis. Tony belongs to the real Destiny's Child. Started the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The body carries the most powerful luck in the entire Marvel Universe. If it wasn't for this time, even Chin Hao would have difficulty hooking out the opponent's soul without injury. Because the other party is protected by the will of the entire universe. Forcibly hooking the opponent's soul may not be obtained by oneself. In that case, it doesn't conform to his own calculations. However, as long as the other party accepts the soul seduction order voluntarily, it will be different. Just like now, Chin Hao's hell will give priority to obtaining the hell of Tony's soul. Whether it's me, Faith, or Hades, or Lucifer, it's going to be harder for them to get Tony's soul. Chin Hao's smile was very subtle. And Tony at the moment is feeling the power of the ecstasy order. Soul ecstasy order. Bewitching. With this token, Tony will become the envoy of Chin Hao's men after he dies. Moreover, he can feel that he can do some things with the token. For example, the soul ecstasy order disappeared directly from his chest. And a soul hook appeared in his hand. Can I seduce souls too? Tony asked subconsciously. Yes, but if you use such power before you die, it will all be counted as the time you served in the underworld after your death. Chin Hao simply explained. It can be used now, but living people use such power. In the future, you will need to spend a longer time in the underworld. Tony. With power, it can't be used yet. No. Or this is a condition specially set by the other party in order to allow him to work longer. Use his strength to work for him. It seems that I followed an unscrupulous old version. As unscrupulous as myself. So, how long can I live? Tony asked another question. The heavenly secret must not be leaked. The heavenly secret cannot be leaked. Tony was startled. I have become your subordinates. Are you keeping secrets secret? However, I can tell you our slogan. Hades wants you to die at the 3rd watch, and will not keep you until the 5th watch. When you are cursed, you will die naturally. In addition, you should return to your soul. Quote. After Chin Hao finished speaking, the morning stick swept over Tony's soul again. At the moment, Ethan had bandaged Tony's chest. Tony, it's time to come back. Shish. Tony's soul instantly returned to his body. He wanted to open his eyes, but his eyelids were heavy. On the operating table, Hela understood why Qin Hao came here. She feels it. Qin Hao's yin god has become even stronger. Stronger than her. Sure enough, the more souls in the underworld, the stronger the opponent. If I accept the order of impermanence, will I also become stronger? She became more and more excited. Qin, I didn't expect you to find such a powerful soul. This soul is no worse than the one you found in the ice last time. Quote, Hela, I told you, that man's name is Steve Rogers, and he's a human hero. Well, at least a hero that most people recognize. You should remember his name too. Quote, I can only say that you people in Midgard are too weak. Whether it's us Asgard, or the Frost Titans of Jotunheim, we're all immortal. An average person among us can achieve what you would call a human hero. For such a weak person, I really have no interest in remembering his name. Quote, Hela is very disdainful, but she was right. Earthlings are too weak. Everything on Earth is short-lived species, as you say, at least they go where they should go when they die. You Asgardians are dead. Without your guidance, they can't even leave their souls out of their bodies. You have been sealed for nearly 2,000 years. I don't know how many corpses belonging to your subordinates have been accumulated. Odin will not let the souls of these people enter the Soul Castle. A lot has happened since you returned to Asgard. Quote, Qin Hao decisively stimulated Hela. It is best for the other party to be angry and accept the order of impermanence directly. Odin, sooner or later I'm going to get him in trouble. Hela's voice turned cold instantly. Her physical body was still sealed even with her divine power. Otherwise, she'd be in Asgard by now. Okay, the things here are done, let's go back. After Qin Hao finished speaking, he waved his hand casually. A phantom of the Ghost Gate appeared directly in front of him. After the Ghost Gate is closed, it is Wonkwon Road. He walked in first, followed by Hela. Behind Wonkwon Road is Hyam Hades. Hela had just walked through Wonkwon Road, and her expression changed dramatically. Qin, you are too much. Qin, you are too much. Hela's tone was sharp. How could my Eludinal have shifted? No, it's your Hades palace that is about to surround my palace. Quote. She was stunned at the moment. Eludinir was her palace in Helm Hades. Occupying the best place in the world. It also bears the responsibility of suppressing this world. As long as the palace is still there, she, Hela, can come back here. Just like a few months ago, the system established a Hades Hall in Hyam Hades as Qin Hao's office. At that time, the Hall of Hades was built next to Eludinir. Only when the palace is affected will the spirit of Hela be stimulated to come back. But this time, her palace was about to be surrounded. Surrounded by the palace of Hades that was originally on one side. Qin Hao, you are robbing my authority. At the moment Hela is full of evil spirits. This man is too much. Qin Mo grinned. This is the benefit brought by the system. Reward 1, the underworld's authority in Haim's Hades is enhanced. Obtaining Tony's soul, even the authority in Helheim is much greater. This also proves Tony's profound influence on the Marvel movie universe. If the original Hades Hall is as big as the Eludinir Palace, then the Hall of Hades at the moment has surrounded Eludinir on both sides. From the looks of it, the Hall of Kings of Hell is going to be developed into a courtyard. Surround Eludinir completely. Don't worry, I didn't expect something like this to happen. But haven't you noticed, although the palace of the King of Hades looks a lot bigger, but your authority is actually not reduced. Quote, Hela felt it after hearing the words. Why is this happening? She was puzzled. The palace represents the manifestation of authority. Since Hades Hall is bigger than Eludinir, why didn't my authority decrease? Because the underworld wants to devour, not repel. Qin Hao murmured silently in his heart. Underworld, the point is to turn Helheim into a part of hell. It even wants to turn the goddess of death into a part of the underworld. So it won't touch Hela's permissions at all. Instead, they directly bypass Hela to obtain higher authority. Wait until the Hall of Hades really surrounds the entire Eludinal. Then Qin Hao is the highest authority in Hyam Hades. At that time, Hela was working for him. Think of Hela who works for herself. Qin Hao decisively decided to treat the other party better. Hela, or I'll let the ghosts expand your palace. Anyway, the undead in Hyam Hades have nothing to do. Or, you can just move to my Hades palace and forget it. Your Eludinir has lived for so long, try another place. At least, you should come and visit the enlarged Hades palace first. See if there is a room that suits your needs. Quote, Qin Hao started persuading again. Hela's heart moved slightly upon hearing this. Then, I will come to your Hades hall to visit. She really followed Qin Hao into the palace of the king of Hades. Walking inside, countless evil spirits shuttle through it. These are all evil spirits who were recruited by Qin Hao. Maintain the basic operation of the underworld. Master Hu Chang. Master Hu Chang. All the ghosts who saw Qin Hao greeted him. Seeing all this, Hela felt a little sore in her heart. It's hot over here. She seemed a little lonely there. I have been sealed for 2,000 years, and I no longer have a familiar subordinate. Her current subordinates are all undead. Not even a single person to talk to. The longer she stayed in Hades Hall, the more uncomfortable she felt. Although it is also gloomy here. But whatever the hell, there was a lot of ghost noise. Mad. Hela didn't realize it herself, she has changed now. Become more like a woman. Maybe, I can also try to become by Hu Chang. At that time, you and these ghosts will become your own people. Well, go back to Eludinir and try. Anyway, no one knows. With this in mind, Hela decided to leave. I've already visited the palace of the king of Hades, and I'm back to Eludinil. After she finished speaking, she turned around and walked towards the outside of the palace of Hades. That step seemed to be a little hasty and jumpy. Don't send it away. I know the way. Qin Hao, who had just lifted his foot, had to stop. Return to Eludinir. Hela decisively entered a room. Inside, there are the impermanent orders and impermanent clothes given to her by Qin Hao. With a wave of Hela's hand, the impermanent suit was put on her body directly. In other words, her soul transformed into an impermanent suit. A magic mirror takes shape. She carefully watched herself in the mirror. An impermanent suit directly outlined her figure. The white clothes matched her fair skin. It was perfect. Qin Mo really didn't lie to himself. She jumped with joy in her heart. Immediately afterwards, her eyes turned to Hu Chang Ling. Should I also try the Order of Impermanence? Maybe it can really improve my soul strength. Just when Hela was struggling with whether to accept the power of the Order of Impermanence. In the cave in the desert, Tony finally woke up. He touched his chest instantly. Cruel pain, and a solid feel. He looked down and saw that his chest was already wrapped in gauze. Outside the gauze, 2 wires are directly connected to a large battery. Is all this true? Is all this true? Tony muttered to himself. He really has lost his soul. He really saw Death God. Immediately afterwards, he felt the feedback from his heart. That's the power of the Soul Ecstasy Order. It seems that he can rely on the Ecstasy Order to ask that Black Death God for help. Ethan waited quietly on the side. He was ready for Tony to ask what happened. However, the other party touched his chest, and then froze in place. Ethan was puzzled. Tony, he just doesn't want to know what happened. It made Ethan at the moment a little unsure how to speak. This embarrassing situation has passed for a long time. Tony finally recovered from his daze. He stared blankly at Ethan. Do you believe that hell really exists? Ethan waited for a long time, finally waiting for Tony to speak. But what is the first question? Hell. He looked around for a week. I think this is hell. For Ethan, this is hell. Everything about him is gone. The rest is just pain. Tony glanced at Ethan blankly. Sure enough, you don't know hell either. His muttering was still heard by Ethan. Tony, I know that this kind of thing is really unacceptable. But you also have to understand that things have happened. It's like hell in this place. No, what I'm talking about is the real hell. Can you believe it? I'm still in hell. Tony interrupted Ethan. Ethan was stunned. What? All of Ethan's doubts were reduced to one sentence. Could it be that Tony was injured this time, hurting his head? How else could it be? Got a job in the underworld. Then you should be dead. How can there be any living people who hold jobs in the underworld? This must be a brain problem. Ruined. Tony, who is out of his mind, can't fulfill the requirements of those dangerous elements. Dead. But in a blink of an eye, he thought of something. Did you have any hallucinations just now? There was a moment just now when your heartbeat dropped to its lowest. If hallucinating, you should be hallucinating at that time. According to modern scientific research, People can see some strange things when they die. This should be the case for you. Your feelings may be a good subject to study. It's a pity that I don't have the opportunity to study it now. Quote. Ethan felt a little sorry. The soul, the memory before death. This is a good project, but it is a pity that I have no chance. What Tony is saying now must be the illusion produced at that time. Tony shook his head. People like Ethan don't even deserve to know about hell. Thinking of this, he even felt a little complacent. Even hell has taken his fancy. What's more, he has also become a soul ecstasy messenger. From this point of view, he is indeed a real genius. At this moment, the dangerous elements monitored by the monitor came in. There are a lot of bala bala. Tony looked puzzled. Ethan whispered, they want you to build the Jericho missile. Make missiles. Build missiles. Upon hearing this, Tony almost went crazy. Making your own weapons is already going to hell, and let yourself make missiles. Want to keep yourself in hell doing things even longer. I have now served a 100-year term in the underworld. That Black Death god is obviously a bad boss. The ability is given to me and I can't use it casually. You still want me to continue? No, I refuse. Tony let out a growl. Punish me. Several people stepped forward directly. Grab Tony and put his head in the water. Iron Man fans don't say abuse Tony, this is the plot of the movie. Gulu gulu. Tony's lungs hurt from the freezing water. He even felt that his wound had opened. Just when he thought he was going to die. Finally pulled out of the water. Ask him, make or not. There was a buzzing in my ears. I heard someone chattering. After a while, he finally heard a word he could understand. They asked you if you were going to make the Jericho missile. Like the doctor who operated on himself. Ha ha ha, don't make it. I have experienced the pain of hell. What is this pain? Tony had tried the pain of hell. Compared with the pain of hell, this pain is nothing. Ethan, you are serious. Ethan didn't know how to translate. What did he say? The leader of the dangerous elements looked at hesitations Ethan and roared. Ethan was helpless. He said he refused. Dude, I did my best. Give me another one. Gulu gulu. Tony's head was pushed into the water again. Just when he was about to lose his breath, he was pulled out of the water again. Ask him again. They still let you make missiles. Ethan translated again. No, I have already entered the underworld. I have a position in the underworld. Am I still afraid of you? Tony sneered. This time, the dangerous elements don't need to translate. Tony's expression said it all. Press down. Gulu gulu. If you don't make it, kill him. They said if you don't make the Jericho missiles, they'll literally kill you. Tony was furious instantly. Ha ha ha, kill me. If you have the ability to really kill me, I'm a soul ecstasy. I'm dead, and when the time comes I will personally drag you to hell. Ethan. Hearing Tony's words, Ethan was completely stunned. God, you play with me. Tony, this playboy, is he crazy? The emissary of the underworld. He is serious. Could it be that he really saw something? And a group of dangerous elements looked at Ethan again, waiting for his translation. Ethan's expression turned ugly instantly. This is so. What should I say? After thinking for a moment, he made a decision. He smacked his mouth, then pointed to his head. His head seems to be smashed. You need to give him a rest. What the hell did he say? He said he saw Death God. Everyone. He said he was a sensualist from hell. Everyone. He said he was dead, and he would personally come to drag you to hell. All the dangerous elements. Death God. Hell. Seductive messenger. Pull us to hell yourself. It seems that he is really crazy. A group of dangerous elements actually let Tony go. Quote exclamation mark. At %. Heal his head well, or you will look good. Leaving a scene, a group of dangerous elements left the cave decisively. Unlucky. Actually tortured a lunatic. It seems that these people are out of their minds. Only a madman can understand a madman. Are we trying too hard? This Tony, don't be really crazy. Seeing everyone leave, Ethan finally breathed a sigh of relief. He changed Tony's wet gauze and bandages. In case of infection, that is the real injustice of death. All done, Ethan sat next to Tony. He has to act as a psychiatrist. Tony, maybe his brain is really broken. You really met the Death God. That's right. What is Death God like? The man is handsome, the woman is beautiful. Tony blurted out without any hesitation. Ethan held his forehead when he heard the words, feeling a pain in his head. Diagnosed. Tony, the beauty of handsome men and women, are you sure you haven't seen too many cover models? Hell, shouldn't it be eerie, with hideous ghosts? Quote. Hearing Ethan's words, Tony froze. Like, that's right. Scary and terrifying are ghosts. Could it be that what I saw was not the death god from hell? Ethan watched Tony sink into deep thought, and he finally breathed a sigh of relief. If you know how to think, then you will be cured. You should have discovered the problem now. This may really be an illusion before you were about to die. So, what you should do now is to survive. Then wait out the matter of considering the underworld and death god. If it is true, then you will not worry about death in the future. And if it is false, you will destroy the opponent's conspiracy if you survive. Tony, do you think so? Quote. Tony continued to be lost in thought. Like, this is what the other party said. Are the two people I saw really death god? The man is so handsome. The woman is so beautiful. It is more appropriate to say that it is death god than angel. Moreover, one of the two faces is of Oriental race and the other is of Western race. The hell is too big to integrate. Or maybe death god also works across regions. There are too many loopholes. So, in fact, I am really hallucinating. Tony was starting to lose confidence. But at this moment, he felt an abnormality in his chest. Soul ecstasy order. His own ecstasy order can obviously still contact death god. However, I can still feel a special power coming from my chest. Tony asked suspiciously. Moreover, the ecstasy order allows him to feel something that others cannot. For example, he can see ghosts. This is the legendary yin and yang eye. Even, he clearly saw some fog from the people who left just now. And he is even more aware that those fogs are dead air. Many people here are going to die. This is all knowledge from the soul seduction order. Knowledge belonging to the death god. Could it be that those are fake too? Ethan heard Tony's words. Another breath of relief. He tapped Tony directly on the chest. There is a ding ding metal collision sound. I installed an electromagnet on you, and you will definitely have a special feeling in your chest. Also, don't you think you should survive and visit church? If you're really a messenger from hell, you shouldn't be able to go to church. After all, they are enemies. Quote. Ethan started advising Tony directly. Hearing his words, Tony had the desire to survive in an instant. Yes, I actually don't want to go to hell. If hell is real, can heaven be real too? Why don't you go to the church for help? That way, I don't have to work in the underworld. There is no need to suffer 100 years of punishment. Moreover, those two are handsome and beautiful. Maybe it's the angel of heaven. You have to figure this out yourself. Ethan, tell them, I'll build them Jericho missiles. Ethan finally breathed a sigh of relief. Sure enough, the psychology I chose was not in vain. A Tony with a brain problem was persuaded to come back by himself. I'm going to tell them. Time flies. Tony successfully built the arc reactor. Also successfully manufactured the iron armor Mark I. All this is done under the noses of those dangerous elements. It's not hard to make stuff. After all, they are all scattered things, and it will be over after a while. The difficult thing is how to put on the battle armor without the other party finding out. Tony, the thing is finished, you put it on and prepare to break out. Ethan reminded. Tony had worries of his own. There is only one armor. What about Ethan? These days, he has formed a deep friendship with Ethan. If you escape by yourself, the other party will definitely die. Ethan, I was thinking about something. Tony spoke in a low voice. What is the problem? I was wondering if I should contact Death God and ask him to help deal with these dangerous elements. Ethan opened his mouth, showing helplessness. Bad brain disease, still not cured. Haven't you forgotten your identity as the soul ecstasy? I thought you had forgotten these days. You still remember it. Definitely it's true. You think that the Black Death God hooked the souls of the two people who died when I was operated on that day. Tony figured this out a long time ago. All this is true. Not hallucinations at all. Hearing this, Ethan was also shocked. 2 people died in a row that day, and he thought they were poisoned. It turned out that Tony actually knew how the other party died. Really, you didn't lie to me. Ethan still couldn't believe it. This is also too magical. Try it and you will know. I will try it later. The best we can do, we both can live. If not, then we really have to work hard. Quote. Tony had a plan in mind. After speaking, he put his hands on his chest. Muttering in his mouth, Master Hu Chang from the underworld, your ecstasy envoy Tony Stark requests your presence. That way, like a devout believer. Ethan on the side let out a long sigh. Never mind, I can't cure Tony. Let him go. For a while, as long as he is willing to wear armor. Chin Hao's eyes flashed as he was handling government affairs in Helm Hades. Is this Tony calling me through the ecstasy? Go and have a look. Chin Hao, who was sitting on the seat of Hades, traveled directly. His physical body remained alone on the Hades seat. Walking out of Hades' palace, Chin Hao was about to open the gate of hell. But then he thought about it, and walked directly to Hela's palace next to him. But I promised her to go out and take her with me. In the palace of Eludanir, Hela is fluttering in white clothes. Wear a top hat, write a letter to, make money at first sight. It's a pity that I don't have a morning stick in my hand, otherwise it would be a white impermanence. This shape is out of tune with the surroundings. But she was in a good mood. Taking advantage of this period of time, Chin Hao was handling government affairs in the palace of the king of the underworld. She has been wandering around the underworld for a long time in the form of Bai Wuchang. It's a bit like the mood of naughty children watching TV behind their parents' backs. Fear of being found out. But I can't help but want to do it. In the past few days, she was walking in the underworld, and a bunch of evil spirits greeted her. Say, Master Impermanence, it seems to have returned to the time when I led the team to attack the city and plunder the land 2,000 years ago. There are many people, and there is a sense of accomplishment. Chin hasn't been out of the palace of Hades for the past few days, and today I can go outside again. Sure enough, it is not easy to be the king of Hades, he just sits in the palace every day. It seems that I still don't think about Hades anymore. Quote. Hela tidied up the impermanent clothes happily. Then walked to the gate of the palace. Open the door, she spoke to the gatekeeper undead with a majestic voice. Several undead slowly opened the door. Hey, do you know I'm coming? You actually opened the door directly. The door just opened a crack. Chin Hao's voice came from outside the door. Hela looked up and saw Chin Hao's figure outside the door. Then, she seemed to think of something. No ordinary clothes. Now he is in the shape of Bai Wuchang. With a decisive thought, her clothes directly changed into a green gown. The state of the soul is born from the heart. The appearance changes in an instant. But Hela at the moment looked nervous and her heart beat faster. What is he doing here at this time? Hasn't he been handling government affairs in the palace of the king of Hades? He wouldn't see himself wearing Bai Wuchang's clothes, would he? I'm not ready to show him yet. Quote. Hela felt apprehensive and forced a straight face. What are you doing here? Chin Hao outside the door watched helplessly as the white figure inside the door turned green. He smacked his mouth and murmured in his heart, isn't Bai Wuchang's appearance so shameful? However, the other party wore it in his own palace, and he was one step closer to truly becoming Bai Wuchang. This is a good thing. You have to save face for her. After all, the other party is a proud goddess. Hela, my ecstasy messenger is praying to me, I'm going to the earth, are you going? Hela felt relieved when she heard that. Nothing about Bai Wuchang was mentioned. It seems that the other party should not have seen it. So far so good. I go. Hela decisively agreed to the request. A ghostly shadow instantly appeared in the cave. Immediately afterwards, the figures of Chin Hao and Hela walked out of the ghost gate. Inside the cave, Tony let out a long breath of relief. You are finally here. Ethan looked at the empty cave. What? In this empty cave, there is no one else but myself. Who is Tony talking to? Are you looking for me? Chin Hao and Hela who walked out of the gate of hell stood in front of Tony. I'm your employee, right? Tony didn't say anything right away, but asked an unrelated question. You are now my reserve employee, and you will become a regular employee when you die. Tony flinched. Turn positive as soon as you die. Very scary. A reserve employee is an employee too, and I'm your man, so I'd like to ask you a favor. I'll put on my battle armor in a while, but at that time I'm likely to be attacked by those dangerous elements outside. I'm fine by myself. Ethan may die without protection. So I want you to kill everyone who rushes in. This is a request from your future employees to you. Quote. Tony stated his request directly. Hey, please kill the death god, this is also the first time. Hela chuckled. Chin Hao did not expect that Tony would have such a request. What do you give in exchange for his life? Tony was overjoyed when he heard that. That said, there is something to talk about. Take my labor time in the underworld for his life. What Tony said was categorical. Chin Hao nodded, and another booklet and a pen appeared in his hand. Turned the page and saw a name. Ethan. 20 years of my life. In other words, Ethan did not die in vain, and could live another 20 years. If the other party dies now, he will have to stay in the underworld for 20 years. Deal, use you to serve for 20 years, and exchange him for another 20 years. Chin Hao spoke directly. Ding, the cause and effect of the underworld and key figures is deeper. Reward 1. The number of yin soldiers in Harlem Hades has increased. Reward 2. The number of ecstasy messengers has increased. The transaction between the two parties was completed instantly. The system sounds again. Chin Hao was secretly delighted. As the number of yin soldiers increases, he will be able to gradually wipe out Harlem Hades. And the more soul ecstasy envoys, the more souls he can get. This is a great thing. Sure enough, Tony still has a lot of wool on his body. Then, I started wearing armor, and the dangerous people outside may have suspected it. After Tony finished speaking, he immediately began to put on the armor. Ethan, come and help. Ethan, who was standing aside, was still dumbfounded. What did he see just now? I saw Tony talking into the air for a long time. Talk to yourself, live in your own world. This is simply the unique performance of mental patience. However, Ethan was still very grateful. Because Tony at the moment hasn't forgotten himself. He was worried that he was dead. Ethan, come and put on my armor. Tony urged again, although a deal was reached with Chin Hao. But in the face of guns and ammunition, he was still very afraid. Ethan finally came to his senses. He walked up to Tony, and spoke worriedly while putting Tony on his armor. Tony, or wait a minute, your spirit is not very good now, you may have trouble controlling the armor. He almost said that you are out of your mind. Tony knew it was useless to explain. While wearing it, he opened his mouth to himself. I will serve 20 years in the underworld, and you will live another 20 years. So go out, you have to live well. Also, I remembered who you are, the cardiothoracic doctor. I'm still waiting for you to take out the reactor in my chest after you go out. Quote. The actions of the two directly attracted the attention of outsiders. A group of people started roaring, about to come in. The operating system has already started to transmit, the gate can't stop them, I'll buy you time. Ethan saw that the other party was about to come in. He decisively rushed out with a flamethrower. Ethan, don't go out. I've already negotiated terms with Death God. But Ethan didn't listen at all. You're out of your mind, don't lie to me. Tony was in a hurry. Master Hu Chang, you have agreed to my terms. Definitely. Chin Hao opened his mouth. Immediately afterwards, he extended a foot towards Ethan. Boom. Ethan, who was carrying the flamethrower, fell directly to the ground. This time, he was beaten to pieces. There was nothing in front of me. Why did you fall by yourself? And at the moment, the door outside has opened. Dangerous elements rushed in with guns in hand. Ethan was desperate. It's over, it's over. But at this moment, Chin Hao then wrote on the life and death book with one stroke. Ah, boom. The dangerous element who rushed to the front fell to the ground instantly. At this moment, the dangerous elements behind stopped suddenly. Not long ago, it seemed that something like this had happened. But there are still some people who don't believe in evil and take a step forward. Chin Hao swiped his pen again. Boom. The dangerous element who had just stepped over fell to the ground again. Dead, dead, same as before, dead. Ethan's face was horrified at the moment. He looked back at Tony. There really is a death god. So, what you said is true. So, what you said is true. Ethan at the moment felt the same way Tony did. In this world, there really is a death god. It's not that Tony's out of his mind. It's your own thinking that fixes the idea. Definitely, I'm a soul ecstasy. There was even a sense of excitement in Tony's tone of at the moment. Show off. Pretend feeling. Yes, that's how it feels. Others can't do it, but you can do it yourself. Even if it has something to do with Death God. So what? Others really can't do it. Who else dares to say that he has a relationship with Death God? Who else dares to say that he served in hell? No. Myself, the only one. Ding. The system loading complete sounds. There was a gleam in Tony's eyes. Ethan, get out of the way. Boom. On the battle armor, a terrifying flame jetted towards the door. A group of dangerous elements at the door were directly burned to the ground. With his battle armor, Tony will kill the quartet. And decisively sent a distress signal to the military. Without flight, the reactor on Tony's chest lasted a lot longer. After that, relying on the weapons outside, Colonel Rhodes came to help. Moreover, the reason for him to wait more confidently. It's just that there are 2 death gods watching. A death god for peace of mind. No one will believe it. It seems that there is nothing wrong with being an employee of Death God. Tony seems to have resigned himself to fate. Tony, I've been looking for you for a long time. Colonel Rhodes gave Tony a bear hug when he arrived. You know, we all thought you were dead. Thanks to Ethan's surgery, that's Ethan. Tony pointed to Ethan, who kept looking around in the cave. Rhodes stepped forward, ready to thank Ethan. But as soon as he walked in, he heard Ethan muttering to himself constantly. Death God from hell, I don't know if the souls of my wife and children are also in hell. Will I see them after I go to hell? If I want to see them, what will I have to pay? Quote. Colonel Rhodes decisively shut up. He looked at Tony suspiciously. Then he pointed to his head. Is he out of his mind? Tony was helpless. Start telling about Ethan. Ever since Ethan knew that Death God really existed, he changed. He wants to see Death God in person. Only then did Tony realize that Ethan was already alone. His wife and children had all died in the war. Now, Ethan wants to ask Death God to let him see his wife and children. Hear Tony explain. Colonel Rhodes looked surprised. That look was exactly the same as Ethan's when he first looked at him. Then he reached out and stroked Tony's head. It seems that you need to go back and check it out. There's nothing wrong with Ethan's past. But the hell, Tony said. Colonel Rhodes didn't believe it at all. How could there be any hell in this world? In this way, it looks like the sequelae left after going to the battlefield. PTSD. Hey, a playboy, who originally met the cover girl. But during this time, all he saw were these burly men. Psychological problems are easy to understand. Chin Hao and Hela stood in front of the gate of hell. This battle has harvested a lot of souls. So they don't care about a little delay. It was not until the end of the battle that Chin Hao came to Yi Sen's side. Ding, change the life and death outcome of the secondary characters, and the other party will have cause and effect with the underworld. The system sounded, and Chin Hao smiled. There is a cause and effect, and he can accept the other party as a soul ecstasy. And the soul of this kind of character will be more developed than the soul ecstasy envoys rewarded by the system. Sure enough, the person who can change Tony is also an important person. Chin Hao flicked the morning stick in his hand. Ethan, who was speaking in a low voice, fell silent instantly. His soul saw Chin Hao and Hela with his own eyes. Eastern Death God, Hu Chang. Western Death God, Hela. I have heard your words, but the souls of your wife and children are not in our hell. Chin Hao spoke directly. Ethan was shocked when he heard this. Hell, sure enough it was different. Also, I suspect your wife and children are suffering in other hells. Because most of hell is chaos. It's not as orderly as our underworld. Quote. Hearing this, Ethan was shocked. Are they suffering? It's possible. Do you want to save your wife and children? Think. Lord Death God, do you have a solution? Ethan seemed to be grabbing at straws. After you die, you will become my envoy. After you die, you will become my envoy. This is Chin Hao's answer to Ethan. If you become your seductress, how can you help me? Ethan wanted to know the result. Be my ecstasy messenger, if you see your wife and children in other hells in the future. At that time, they can either be snatched back, or they can be exchanged for them in the name of the underworld. As for whether you believe in the Eastern underworld, It's up to you to judge for yourself. Quote, Chin Hao simply explained. Ethan was given a choice. Anyway, sooner or later he will face off against other hell gods and demons. With one more special soul, the benefits one can obtain will be more. If only Ethan knew that his wife and children were suffering in other hells. At that time, it is estimated that there is no need to start it by yourself. Ethan can fight that hell to his death. Moreover, in case one's own power is weaker than the opponent's hell at that time, I can also use the exchange method to exchange those souls back. This made Ethan die again. If he is strong, Ethan is a pioneer. I'm weak, so Ethan will be determined to change it back. There's nothing wrong with this kind of thing. And Ethan heard Chin Hao's words. His spirit glanced around. Tony has become Death God's ecstasy messenger. You can also. Moreover, this time it was because of Death God that he survived. No one listens to this word. Based on this alone, the underworld in the east is different from the hell in the west. Okay, I agree. Ethan made his decision. Chin Hao directly took out a soul ecstasy order. Ethan took it without any hesitation. The ecstasy token instantly disappeared from his chest. Ding, the underworld has been bound to the soul of the secondary character, and the underworld has the priority to collect the soul. Reward 1. The number of ghost soldiers in Harlem Hades has increased a little. Reward 2. The number of ecstasy messengers has increased a little. Chin Hao glanced at the system's rewards. Ethan's reward was much less than Tony's. Not to mention the increase in the control of Harlem Hades rewarded when Tony accepted the ecstasy order. It's just his 20 years of ghost service. The rewards obtained are more than Ethan's becoming a soul ecstasy. The rewards for the two are the same, but the amount is very different. Ethan's rewards are followed by the word, a little. It can be seen that Ethan is much less important than Tony. However, Chin Hao didn't care about this. Today's harvest can be regarded as a surprise. You should return to your soul. Chin Hao waved the morning stick. Ethan's soul instantly returned to his body. At the moment, he finally understood Tony's feeling. Yin and Yang eyes. See Death God. Hela, let's go. Here, they have nothing to do. Chin Hao took Hela through the phantom of the ghost gate. Pass through the ghost gate and step on the road to Wangquan. Hela at the moment's complexion changed again. There are more envoys on Wangquan Road. Moreover, there are more Yin soldiers to maintain order in the underworld. The strength of the underworld is even stronger. Chin, the special soul you are looking for can greatly enhance the strength of the underworld. Chin Hao nodded. That's right. Hearing Chin Hao's words, Hela actually had an aggrieved expression on his face. So, you have always made me buy Hu Chang, but it is also because of my special soul. At the moment, she felt extremely wronged. I don't know if it's because Harlem Hades is gradually being controlled by Chin Hao. Hela now has a lot of emotions that she wouldn't have been able to have otherwise. Not much anger, more grievances. The coercion brought by Hela's own godhead. Even the ghosts on Wangquan Road dare not approach. Chin Hao directly reached out and touched Hela's forehead. Hela, did you forget something? What did I forget? When we met, the palace of the King of Hades had only just been built. Special souls can greatly strengthen the underworld. I only discovered it when I met the soul Tony some time ago. There has been a disparity for a long time. I let you be by Hu Chang because I really think you look beautiful in Hu Chang clothes. Quote. Hear Chin Hao's words. Hela thought about the time. It seems to be the case. As soon as he and Chin Hao met each other, they gave the order of impermanence and the order of impermanence. Could it be that I really misunderstood? She instantly became a little embarrassed. I blamed you wrongly. She apologized to Chin Hao in a low voice. A smile appeared on the corner of Chin Mo's mouth. This Hela is estimated to be in the shape of Bai Hu Chang soon. He decisively reached out to hold Hela's shoulder. Then he stared at her closely. Hela, you remember, I want you to become Bai Hu Chang. It is because I want to make you stronger. More importantly, because you are beautiful. If you don't believe it, just put on the clothes of impermanence and accept the order of impermanence and you will know. Quote. Hela's face turned crimson instantly. A look of embarrassment. It seems that he really doesn't know that I have worn the impermanent suit. Hela finally relaxed. It seems that Chin Hao really didn't know about the fact that he secretly wore the impermanent clothes in Wanmu Hades. It made her even more happy. Chin Hao praised her for being beautiful again. Lived for thousands of years. It's been a long time since anyone said that to me. What others remember is the terrifying name of the goddess of death. Not even Odin boasted of himself that much. I didn't expect that the death god from the east would praise himself like this. Whether he is glib or not, I like to listen to it anyway. She turned around silently, and rushed back to her palace excitedly. The moment the palace gates closed, she was instantly dressed in white. No regular clothes. By Hu Chang, I also think it's beautiful. She became self-absorbed. Hela, don't go, I'm going to stay on Earth for a while, will you go? Just as Hela closed the door, Chin Hao's voice came out again. Go to Earth. She instantly changed back to the green gown. Then he opened the door, and looked at Chin Hao with resentful eyes. What else are you going to do on Earth? Do you bother? I don't like Earth. I was sealed there. Let that human hero whose name you can't remember fulfill his promise. Earth. In a hidden hospital, an old woman is waiting for a doctor's diagnosis. Ms. Carter, you should pay attention to rest, your body has been aging a bit in the past 2 years. A doctor said after reading the examination report. The old woman was not angry at all. I will be 90 years old soon, and I have experienced the baptism of that war again. I am very satisfied to live to such a great age. Many people died early. The old woman's mentality is particularly good. I didn't worry about my aging body at all. More people died in that war than her body aged. She is satisfied. Definitely, there are also countless regrets. Like, that dance never materialized. She is Peggy Carter, a legendary figure with many identities. Auntie, don't say that, the doctor is also for your own good, and the organization still needs you. A young and beautiful woman persuaded the old man on the side. Sarangkat, niece of Peggy Carter. In the corner of the room, an invisible figure was standing quietly. Obviously he was there. No one in the room could see him. Because, he is just a soul here. A few months ago, he awoke from a deep sleep. Or, his soul was brought out by Death God. Only then did he realize that he was not dead. Unfortunately, 70 years have passed by now. He is Steve Rogers, Captain America, and he also saw the world after death. Souls wander the world. No one can be seen. 5 people can know. That Death God has a deal with himself. Let yourself see your former lover. As a condition, that is that he will serve Death God. Captain Rogers flung out these thoughts. He looked at Peggy Carter. In the past few months, he has seen the world 70 years later. There are so many changes. So many that he can hardly keep up with this era. Everything he was familiar with seemed to have changed. He even rejoiced that fortunately he was in the state of a soul. Because he has a feeling that he doesn't know how to survive normally in this world. An inexplicable coercion appeared in the hospital. The invisible figure's expression changed wildly. Why is the gate of hell opened in the hospital? The gate of hell is now closed. There must be an envoy who seduces the soul. Immediately afterwards, a terrifying thought appeared in his mind. Could it be that he came to pick up Peggy? No. Can't. Just when Captain Rogers was terrified, 2 figures came out from the phantom of the ghost gate. It was Chin Hao and Hela. The 2 looked around. Then he walked towards the figure in the corner. Captain Rogers, have you gotten used to staying on Earth for the past few months? Chin Hao casually greeted Captain Rogers. Captain Rogers breathed a sigh of relief upon hearing this. Chin, are you here to look for me? That's right, it's here to find you. I thought you were here to fetch Peggy Carter's spirit. Chin Hao looked back at Peggy Carter. She can live to 95 years, and she still has a few years to live. 95. Really? Captain Rogers was slightly pleased. There is no need to lie to you about this matter, at least her lifespan is a few years away. If she died prematurely, it would be other hell demons who took her soul. Quote. Chin Hao at the moment did not forget to pour dirty water on other hell demons. You come to me at this time, is it time for me to fulfill my promise? Captain Rogers understood Chin Hao's intentions. That's right, it's time for you to accept the soul seduction order. After Chin Hao finished speaking, a soul ecstasy token appeared in his hand. And Captain Rogers looked at the soul search order and sighed. You said before that I have a long life to live. Why are you so anxious to get my soul? Could it be that you death gods actually have competition? And, is my soul really that special? Quote, Rogers asked the question for the second time. He is the first person in Hela's mouth who clearly realizes that he is special. Tony is second, but while he was talking, he still picked up the soul seduction token. This is the agreement between him and Chin Hao. Chin Hao asked him to return to this strange world of Lu Li. Let him meet his former lover. And Captain Rogers, once dead, becomes the ecstasy of the underworld. He didn't intend to break the contract. The moment Captain Rogers picked up the ecstasy order, Chin Hao smiled. The sound of the system sounded directly. Ding, the underworld has been bound to the soul of a key person, and the underworld has the priority to collect the soul. Reward 1. The authority of the underworld in Helm's underworld has been increased. Reward 2. The physical strength of the host is improved. Reward 3. The strength of the host's soul is improved. The 3 rewards are exactly the same as when Tony received the ecstasy order. Chin Hao took a deep breath. His physical and spiritual strength has once again increased. The physical strength has surpassed Spider-Man, and the power of the soul has once again been greatly improved. When I got Tony's soul for the first time, his soul power is stronger than Hela's. But at that time, the strength was limited, and that time was Hela before being sealed. Know that the people of Asgard grow older. Divine power will also increase constantly. Being sealed for nearly 2,000 years, the current Hela can possess more and more divine powers. Once Hela returns to Asgard to replenish her divine power, her strength will rise to a higher level. If you want to say, the Hela before the seal may be the early or middle stage of level Godfather. After breaking the seal is the later stage of level Godfather. At least not yet reached the peak of level Godfather. Otherwise, Odin, who is the pinnacle of level Godfather, would not be able to seal her. As for Hela, who has added enough divine power in Asgard, at that time, it might be the peak of level Godfather. This is the ruthless man who slaughtered the army of Asgard by himself. At the moment's Chin Hao, the soul strength once again took a step on the level Godfather. There is no comparison, and he doesn't know whether he is now a level Godfather long-term or mid-term. Or is it later? Hela, who was standing on the side, clearly felt that Chin Hao's soul breath had become stronger. At the moment, she was actually shocked. Is this the power of faith? She knew that Zeus, who are also the gods of the West, existed only by faith. The stronger the human believers, the stronger they are. And she learned that the Eastern god system seems to be the same. It's just that they changed their belief into one word, incense. The more prosperous the incense, the stronger the strength. Temples, Taoist temples, Chungwang temples, and even ancestral tablets. These have incense. However, with such strength, there is a feeling that the foundation is not stable. Hey, I'm also bound to Asgard. She shook her head mockingly. Then, she thought of something. Now Chin Hao's strength has reached this level. If he becomes Hu Chang, will his strength be even stronger? At that time, is it possible to go to Asgard to defeat Odin and get back his physical body? A strange idea appeared in her mind. She didn't want to find someone to help break the seal at all. But now, she was moved. So, should I really accept the order of impermanence? After wearing all the impermanent clothes, it is no big deal to accept the order of impermanence, right? She approached Hu Chang again. Chin Hao finally recovered from the thrill of his strength improvement. He found nothing unusual about Hela. His eyes fell to Rogers. Rogers from at the moment also had a look of astonishment. He was astonished by the knowledge that came out of the ecstasy order. And his gaze was fixed on Peggy Carter at the moment. There was a thin layer of black mist on her body. He knew it was death. Very thin and light. This made Captain Rogers understand that what Chin Hao said was true. Peggy Carter, it's not time to die yet. This reassured him a lot. Even he has an idea. I knew that the ecstasy messenger could do this. He agreed directly. In this way, there is no need to worry so much. I'm yours now, what do you want from me? Captain Rogers was ready to begin his duties. No, you don't need it for the time being, you are not dead yet, you are just preparing to be a soul seducer. When you really die, that's when you officially take office. Quote. Chin Hao at the moment is not in a hurry. Anyway, Captain Rogers' soul is already bound to the underworld. There is a high probability that other hells will not compete with him. And more importantly, his own strength has improved. This is the foundation of his existence in the Marvel Universe. Could it be that you specifically asked me to fulfill the promise? Definitely not. Let's go, accept Peggy Carter, and take you to meet the descendants of your old friend. Stark Industrial Park. Here, a press conference is being held. This is Tony Stark's first press conference since he was rescued. Countless people wondered where Tony had been during the time he had been missing. They wanted to know what Tony wanted to say at the press conference this time. Many reporters are looking forward to at the moment. Looking forward to the emergence of a big news. Tony stood on the launch platform, and he glanced down casually. Beside him was Obadiah. Everyone be quiet. Tony disappeared for several months. Let him tell you something next. As an old fox, he showed no flaws. And Tony touched his chest. Then he showed a relieved expression. Before I talk about today, I have a question I want to ask you. Tony at the moment looked serious. All the reporters at the moment were puzzled. We haven't asked any questions yet at this press conference, but you actually want to ask first. I don't know what Mr. Stark wants to ask. Finally someone spoke up. I want to ask, do you believe in the existence of hell? Tony asked the question he most wanted to ask. Hell, sorry, I'm not a believer. I'm not a believer either, but my aunt is a believer and goes to church every week. Mr. Stark, have you become a believer too? I see. Do you want to get God's guidance after this incident? A group of reporters began to diverge their brains. Standing on the side, Obadiah and Colonel Rhodes glanced at each other. They saw doubt in each other's eyes. Tony, what the hell is he going to do? Tony, let's talk about things. Be careful that these reporters take the opportunity to write some reports that will affect the image of Stark Industries. Obadiah whispered in Tony's ear. Tony smiled. Affect the image? No, my decision doesn't care about the image of the Stark Corporation anymore. It seems that you, like me before, don't actually believe in the existence of hell. Tony spoke up. Definitely don't believe it anymore. After all, we have no believers here. If you asked this question in the Vatican, you would get a completely different answer, haha. A reporter at the moment made a little joke. Vatican, I have actually been there, after I was rescued. Tony responded generously. Someone remembered this. The first thing Tony did after being rescued was to go to the Vatican. There are even rumors of millions of dollars donated to the Pope there. A guess appeared in everyone's mind instantly. Could it be that you saw heaven and hell there? You also became a believer. Tony shook his head. No, unfortunately, I didn't see anything there, and I didn't become a believer in God. He paused, then spoke word by word. However, in the cave where I was imprisoned, I actually saw Death God. There, I also knew the existence of hell. And, I learned one of the biggest secrets. For this reason, I have a decision. When Tony said this, his eyes swept over everyone in front of him. All the reporters subconsciously held their breath. They feel that there will be an explosive news today. I have decided to close down the Stark Industries weapons division. Boom, the whole scene exploded in an instant. All the reporters were stunned by Tony's decision. Shut down the weapons division of the Stark Corporation. The Stark Group relied on the cooperation between the weapons department and the military before it became the giant it is today. Now, are they digging their own grave? Why, Mr. Tony, why did you make such a decision? During this time, what happened to you? Quote. A bunch of reporters constantly asked questions. As for Tony's reasons, hell, to hell, whoever believes this is an idiot. There was a relieved look on Tony's face. I have already said the reason. I have seen hell, and I have felt the pain of hell. Since going to hell for making weapons. Then I won't make it. At least, you can't let yourself stay in hell longer. Obadiah is crazy. He had no idea Tony was going to make this decision. He pushed Tony directly off the stage. He has already been able to predict the impact of this news on the group. That is tens of billions or even hundreds of billions of stock price losses. What the hell? How did those fools not kill Tony? Is this to embarrass yourself? Wait until finally deal with the reporter. Obadiah found Tony with a look of anger on his face. Why did you make this decision? Why didn't you discuss it with me in advance? Do you know how much money this will cost you? The thought of lost money. His heart throbbed in pain. Tony smiled. Because, hell feels really bad. Hell, to hell, Obadiah swears directly. Chin, he's scolding us. In the extreme distance, Hela's expression was not good. Don't be angry, send him back to tongue-pulling prison. Tongue-pulling prison. After the tongue-pulling prison, there is also the scissors prison, the iron tree prison. Obadiah, it's over. It's okay to scold yourself. It's bad luck to make Hela angry. I was worrying about how to quickly fool Hela into Bai Wuchang. You actually delivered it to your door. Your soul, I ordered. Hela smiled slightly upon hearing this. Hela, if you become Bai Wuchang, you can send him to tongue-pulling prison yourself. Qin Hao subtly persuaded Hela again. If Hela's power is still there, she can do this too. Unfortunately, both her body and divine power were sealed. Now, to enter and leave Haim's netherworld, one has to rely on Qin Hao's Gate of Ghosts. Let me think again, Hela said casually. When Qin Hao heard this, his eyes flashed. This is the first time that Hela has responded positively to Bai Wuchang. Originally, Hela always staggered the topic arrogantly. Or just ignore it. Even Qin Hao knew that she wore Wuchang clothes in her palace. But he never accepted the order of impermanence. Only by accepting the order of impermanence is the real impermanence. With the order of impermanence, there will be a god. Even Odin can't seal Bai Wuchang's divine power. Well, I seem to be able to work harder. Hela, do you know what is the most romantic thing about Death God? What is it? Hela became interested. Death God, and something romantic. Ecstasy with the like-minded Death God. You alone, I alone, hook a ghost to walk on the road to Wangquan. After passing the Wangchuan River, looking at the flowers on the other side. Then send those ghosts to hell. Quote, when Hela heard this, a picture appeared in his mind involuntarily. One white and one black are impermanent. One person hooks one soul. Then he walked through the Gate of Ghosts and walked through Wangquan Road. Finally, throw the soul into the endless hell. Just thinking about it, it seems quite interesting. I've decided, we'll just send him to hell. Hela looked unhappy and pointed directly at Obadiah. Qin Hao, Obadiah, you are screwed. Captain Rogers. God, help me. What the hell, what Shira field did I enter? Can you believe it? The two death gods of the East and the West are talking about romance. Spanning two domains of the gods. Death God, does romance have anything to do with them? I am in the middle of this, and I feel that I may die at any time. You shouldn't know these things yourself. A minute's silence for Obadiah, though. The other party, this was missed by Death God. Qin Hao saw Roger's expression. Rogers, that's the son of your old friend Howard Stark, are you going to meet? Qin Hao changed the subject. Howard Stark's son. Captain Rogers looked surprised. I didn't expect to meet friends and descendants other than Peggy Carter. Besides, he is also a seducer. As long as you don't hide it, he can see you. Is he also a soul seducer? That's right. Captain Rogers thought about it, and finally shook his head. Forget it, it's not necessary. It would be embarrassing to let him know my identity. Could it be that I called him my nephew? Shout out to a nephew who looks a little older than himself. This is always a bit out of the mouth. Qin Hao glanced at Rogers. I really didn't see that you were so boring. He actually wanted to call him his nephew. I didn't see it. Later, I thought about it, and they soaked up Peggy Carter. And almost soaked Sharon Carter. This operation is also very coquettish. Qin, what are you doing here? Hela at the moment asked a question. Qin Hao, it's too late to get out of nowhere. It was impossible for him to stay and take Rogers to see his ecstasy. For Helheim to grow, it needs more soul. In the entire 9 realms, only the Earth has the shortest human lifespan. It also means that the most souls can be obtained here in a short period of time. So next I decided to send most of the ecstasy envoys to Earth. Even I think our working point is put on the Earth. Quote, what does that have to do with coming here? The souls of Tony and Ethan, 2 ecstasy messengers. Equivalent to 2 coordinates. Gemengguan and Wangquan Road can easily lead here. The ecstasy messenger can transport ghosts more easily. I don't need to send divine power here to maintain the existence of the Ghost Gate. Quote, hearing this, Hela instantly understood. The last time Chin Hao went to look for Tony, the place where the gate of hell opened was far away. It took some distance in the desert to find the target. Now that there are coordinates, the ghost gate can be set up here first. The ecstasy messengers can open the phantom of the ghost gate from here. Drive directly to a place as far away as possible from decedent. This is equivalent to opening the door to someone else's house. The only problem is that Wonkwon Road will appear very long. After all, it has to be teleported from the earth to Helm Hades. This entire passage is Wonkwon Road. The ecstasy envoy will only pay attention to ecstasy at that time. On Wonkwon Road, just leave it to the Yin soldiers to maintain order. Are you ready to start stealing souls? Other Hell Lords may make a move. Hela's tone was a little worried. Chin Hao closed the gate of ghosts on the earth. That's head on another Hell Mephisto soul robbing. Whether it's me Faith, or Hades, or Lucifer, they are all likely to be shot. It's not that serious. There are still too few soul seducers in the underworld, and there are not many souls that have actually been seduced. If the Lord of Hell would make trouble like this, it would be too tasteless. Besides, even if they make trouble, I'll just retreat back to Helm Hades. Could it be that they still dare to enter Helm Hades to cause trouble? Quote. Chin Hao made this decision after careful consideration. Among the 9 realms, people in other realms live too long. Asgard 5,000 years of life. Ice Titan is not much worse than Asgard. As the brother Protoss of Asgard, the Vanir Protoss also have a long lifespan. The same is true of other countries. But the lifespan on Earth is only less than 100 years. Compared with them, they are like infants and toddlers. What's more, there are many big events about to happen on the Earth. The work center of the underworld will naturally be transferred to the Earth. Only in this way can more souls be hooked. More importantly, was rewarded by Captain Rogers. At the moment Heimdall's Hall of Hades has surrounded Hela's palace in 3 directions. Once the 4 sides are surrounded, he will be able to complete the control of Helm Hades. Beyond Hela's purview, he doubted that at that time his strength could really reach the peak of level Godfather. For he is in Helm, like Hela is in Asgard. It is difficult to defeat him inside. Now, there is still 1 soul missing for him to complete the final upgrade. A soul like Tony and Captain Rogers. This soul is most likely Hulk or Thor. According to the timeline, Hulk is more forward. Originally, he could have gone straight to Dr. Banner. But he also had his eye on someone. A person who can help the underworld, siege the city and pull out the stronghold. Hate. He even has a conjecture that needs Abomination to realize. So he kept waiting. Wait for the hatred to appear. Hela didn't know about Chin Hao's plan. But she also had a plan in mind. If there is really a Hell Lord looking for trouble, I will become Bai Wuchang. Hela knows her strength. Once you become White Impermanence, Chin Hao's strength will definitely increase. At that time, once he reaches the peak of level Godfather, there are not many people in this universe who can defeat him. At least, Asgard relies on Odin at the apex of the level Godfather. Famous throughout the universe. Definitely, this has something to do with the generally powerful individuals of the Asgard people. However, Helm Hades is hers. It's also Chin Hao's now. She will not allow anyone to destroy it. If it is destroyed by someone, where can I go for a walk on Wonkwon Road? Or, should I accept the order of impermanence earlier? Don't wait until those lords come to make trouble. She began to struggle again. Chin Hao didn't know what Hela was thinking either. In the next period of time, he began to set up ghost gates on the earth. And during this period of time, the battle between Tony and Obadiah was finally on. The roof of Stark Industrial Park. Tony's armor, at the moment, was about to lose power. In the distance, Obadiah opened the Iron King's visor. Tony, I have to thank you for making such a powerful weapon when you say no to making weapons. Don't worry, after you die, I will take good care of the Stark group. Quote. Obadiah at the moment really felt the power of the armor. Tony at the moment lay on the ground. The eyes directly past the other side. He saw, behind Obadiah, there are 3 figures standing on top of the tall building. Hu Chang, Death Goddess Hela. The last one is not very clear in the dark. Am I going to die? Are you here to pick me up? Tony's voice came through the loudspeaker. Hearing Tony's words, Obadiah had a mocking look on his face. Ha 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 ha, Tony, you know you're going to die too. You deserved to die long ago. If it weren't for you, the stock price of Stet Group would not have fallen like this. But that's okay, the armor you create will take our Stark Corporation to new heights. From this point of view, I have to thank you. When I kill you in a while, I will leave you with no bones left. Quote. Obadiah at the moment is extremely excited. No bones left. Destroy corpses and wipe out traces. I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to Death God. Tony cut him off straight away. Obadiah froze for a moment. But then he laughed even more wildly. Ha 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 ha, you saw Death God again. That's right, you did have to meet Death God. Impressive. Tony Stark, a genius billionaire, actually believes in the existence of Death God. Really? Laughed Deadman. Quote, where he can't see it. Three figures have come to his side. With the help of the light, Tony finally saw Hela's face. It was livid. Tony's heart skipped a beat. I am really screwed. When you go to hell with me, let's see if you can still laugh. Hela's tone was very bad. Although she knew that Obadiah couldn't see herself, so she talked nonsense. But this doesn't affect her desire to throw the other party into hell. Hearing this, Tony finally breathed a sigh of relief. Great, it's not me, I thought I was really going to die. Tony relaxes, Obadiah doesn't relax. He couldn't see Hela's line. Naturally, I don't know what happened to Hela's complexion. He also thought that Tony was deliberately diverting his attention. Tony, hit the road. Obadiah directly activated the armor. A shell was aimed directly at Tony. But at the moment, Tony actually laughed. Ha, in fact, it's not a loss to be the emissary of the local government. His at the moment felt extraordinarily comfortable. When he was locked in a cave, it was Death God Hu Chang who saved him. Now, Master Hu Chang saved himself again. Death God, he feels more at ease than anyone else. That's right, peace of mind. This is the second time I have felt this way. Obadiah looked puzzled. You're going to die, can you still laugh? Ha ha ha, it's not that I'm going to die, but you are going to die. Tony clearly saw that the reincarnation pen in Hu Chang's hand had been hooked on the life and death book. Obadiah, who was about to speak, suddenly froze in place. Then, he felt as if he was floating. He looked back, and found another self standing in the Iron Overlord with a stiff face. What frightened him even more was that three figures appeared beside the at the moment Iron Overlord. He dared to swear that these three figures did not exist at all. Come down. And at the moment, he was floating and saw an oriental figure in black clothes and a high hat waving at him. Immediately afterwards, a long chain appeared in the opponent's hand. Erotic rope. Shish. The hook came straight to Obadiah. In the blink of an eye, he was tied tightly. Trapped by this seductive rope, Obadiah felt that his body didn't seem to be his own anymore. When he was pulled to the ground, the beautiful woman in green came to his side. The other parties at the moment looked bad. She raised her hand and gave Obadiah a palm. Crack, you dared to scold hell some time ago. Crack, whether hell exists, is it your turn to question? Crack, just wait for the tongue-pulling prison. After a few slaps, Hela's mood improved a little. Sure enough, you still have to do it to feel comfortable. Hela, don't be angry, let him go to the tongue-pulling prison to have a good experience. After Chin Hao finished speaking, a ghost gate appeared behind him. In the distance, Tony bent slightly towards this side. Thank you, Lord Hu Chang. Thank you, Lord Goddess of Death, Hela. Hela glanced at Tony. Don't tell anyone about the existence of the underworld, unless you want to be targeted by other hell demons. Then she and Chin Hao walked towards the gate of hell. And Tony at the moment felt a chill in his heart. I don't seem to have thought about it. At the moment, Captain Rogers on one side was also ready to follow. But he just moved his feet. Hela looked at him with murderous eyes. I want to take a walk with Chin Hao on Wonkwon Road. How dare you follow me? Captain Rogers froze in place. They watched Chin Hao and Hela disappear into the gate of hell with Obadiah. This, Death God wants to combine things. He looked back at Tony helplessly. Are you also a soul ecstasy? Tony spoke first. Captain Rogers walked towards Tony. That's right, I'm also a soul ecstasy. He finally walked into the light. Tony's eyes changed. Have I seen you before? Your face is very familiar to me. He always felt that he had never seen each other before. Rogers walked over to Tony. Introduce yourself. My name is Steve Rogers and I know your father, Howard Stark. Steve Rogers. When Tony heard the name, he instantly combined the name with a figure. He finally knew why he looked familiar with each other. In the museum, there is a Steve Rogers documentary. Two of the most important people in the Marvel movie universe. In this way, the meeting was completed on the dilapidated roof of the Stark Industrial Park. I didn't expect that you have been dead for so long, and you are still working under Master Hu Chang. How have you been living for nearly 70 years? How many years will you work for the underworld? Quote. Tony at the moment actually felt emotional. Chin Hao said that he would work in the underworld for 100 years. Moreover, because Ethan must survive, he took another 20 years to trade. In other words, he has to work in the underworld for at least 120 years. Originally, he didn't have much feeling about this. I think it's just data. However, he saw Captain Rogers now. A person who has been dead for nearly 70 years. In other words, Captain Rogers has been working for each other for nearly 70 years. Rogers was taken aback when he heard that. Who said I have worked in the underworld for 70 years? This eldest nephew, where do you want to go? Isn't it? How long have you been working? That's when you announced the closure of Stark Industries' weapons division. How could it be that time? It's like this. Captain Rogers didn't hide either. Briefly tell about him. It was frozen for nearly 70 years, and was brought out by Chin Hao in the ice layer. After that, I wandered in this modern society for several months. It wasn't until Tony announced that he was shutting down the weapons department that he became a psychic. Tony was taken aback. He was acutely aware of something in Rogers' words. You mean, your body is still in the ice? Besides, you haven't died yet. Yes, I'm not dead, at least my body is not dead, it's just that it's still frozen. Rogers at the moment doesn't seem to realize something yet. Tell me where your body is, and I'll get you out. Tony at the moment was excited. He's going to dig Steve Rogers out. This is Captain America, a man who has been revered as a hero for more than half a century. He is even called a person with perfect qualities by some good people. If such a person is rescued, what kind of impact will it have on this society? Incalculable. At this time, Stark Industry is at its lowest point. If only Captain America could be rescued. Then there is the PR cooperation of Stark Industries. Because the negative effects of closing down the arms sector will disappear. At that time, my own clean energy is estimated to be online. Stark Industries will stand at the pinnacle of capital all at once. And it is beyond the peak of the past. Save me back. That's right, to save you, just tell me your location. When Rogers heard this, he froze for a moment. Yes, I can actually survive. Tony could see himself and have the financial resources to save him. When she came back alive, she could still talk to Peggy Carter in person. I'll tell you where my body is, no. I'll take you there directly. He had a decision in the blink of an eye. I took Tony to find my own body. The two quickly reached an agreement. The follow-up of the battle was quickly dealt with. Soothe Pepper, and SHIELD's Phil Coulson. Tony just disappeared again. It took many days before he reappeared. As soon as he appeared, a press conference was held directly. This sudden press conference directly made Phil Coulson's hairline rise another point. Mr. Stark, it's been so long since the last battle in the Stark Industrial Park, why haven't you held a press conference? There are rumors that you are recovering from an injury, right? That Iron Man, is that you? Quote. One question after another was thrown out by reporters. Tony raised his hand and pressed it. The scene fell silent instantly. Phil Coulson standing behind Tony always felt like something was going to happen. Nick Fury, who was watching the press conference in front of the TV, also felt tight at the moment. This sudden press conference left them too late to prepare. Is this guy really going to shut down Stark Industries completely? SHIELD, but there are still some shares in the Stark Industrial Park. After all, Howard is the veteran of SHIELD. The establishment of the Stark Group naturally has the support of SHIELD. Tony looked around at everyone. Then, he smiled slightly. I am Iron Man. Boom. The scene exploded directly. Nick Fury in front of the TV angrily threw away a piece of information in his hand. Tony Stark, I want to teach you a lesson for your father. I am Iron Man, do you really think you are the only hero in this world? Quote. Even if it is an old silver coin with a deep city mansion. He couldn't help being angry too. However, Tony at the moment on TV doesn't seem to be enough. Don't rush to ask questions, I still have something to announce. He directly interrupted everyone who wanted to ask questions. There is something else. Everyone is excited. This news alone is enough to explode. What news can compare to this? I think you're also curious, what happened in the Stark Industrial Park has been going on for days. Why am I only now showing up here to admit my identity? Quote. Sure enough, the curiosity of all reporters was aroused. Not to mention those reporters, even Nick Fury in front of the TV was full of curiosity. In fact, today I have an even more incredible news to tell you. When he said this, he looked around the reporter again. Next, let me introduce a hero to you. He directly turned on the projection TV at the press conference. A figure appeared on the TV screen. A figure being tested. His face finally appeared on the TV screen. Phil Coulson, who was there, opened his eyes wide. In S.H.I.E.L.D., Nick Fury froze in place for an instant. Steve Rogers, Captain America. Nick Fury's voice roared wildly in the office. Tony Stark, why is Captain Rogers with you? He dialed Phil Coulson directly. I'll bring someone to the Stark group immediately, you must make sure Captain Rogers is fine. Yes, Chief Fury. At the press conference, Tony began to introduce himself. You have all heard of this person's name. Steve Rogers. He has a more heroic title. 70 years ago, we all thought he died with the enemy. However, our Stark group rescued him from the ice. Yes, he is Captain America. As soon as the voice fell, the scene was silent. Boom. After the silence, there was a violent explosion. The whole scene exploded in an instant. Captain America. A man rumored to be dead. Now it appeared alive before their eyes. Today, in addition to seeing Iron Man, they also know Captain America. Two big news. It was a huge hit. As for whether it is fake, they don't care at all. The news is true, and that's an inspiration to the whole country. That is a man who is said to have perfect qualities. If it's fake, once it's confirmed, they can slap Tony crazy. For journalists, they don't care if it's true or false. What they care about is whose mouth the news comes from. Tony, where did you save Captain America from? 70 years, why is he still so young? What did Captain America rely on to survive for so long? Quote. One question after another was asked directly. The whole press conference was like crazy. Stark Industrial Park. At the moment, many days have passed since the press conference was released. During this period of time, the stock price of Stark Group, whose stock price fell sharply, soared all the way. Nick Fury was looking at a closed ward through the glass door. Inside, Captain Rogers is undergoing restorative care. I have to say, the super soldier serum is just too powerful. In just a few days, Captain Rogers has recovered to a level beyond ordinary people. Nick Fury is both relieved and scared right now. More importantly, shock. Thankfully, Captain Rogers survived. The fear is that Captain Rogers will be played to death by Tony, a playboy. Encountered such a thing, the other party actually went to save people by himself. But what if it fails? And the shocking thing is, how did Tony do this? It took them decades to find Captain Rogers' body. They even wondered if Captain Rogers had no bones left. As a result, Tony found it. Even he, the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., has to lament the importance of luck. The reason Tony gave was actually discovered by him when he was trying out the Mark armor. Nick Fury didn't even have a chance to verify. Captain Rogers, after you recover, I invite you to S.H.I.E.L.D. Nick Fury extended an invitation to the other party. Captain Rogers thought about it. I can't give an answer to this matter yet. Captain Rogers, S.H.I.E.L.D. was created by Senior Carter after all, don't you want to protect this organization? Also, Ms. Carter heard about Tony's press conference, and she's been wanting to catch a glimpse of you. Quote. Nick Fury's jerk side is exposed directly. He would do anything for S.H.I.E.L.D. Sure enough, after hearing his words, Captain Rogers hesitated. Okay, let me go see Peggy first. He basically agreed to the request. Nick Fury finally felt a little relieved. Captain Rogers must be in his hands for the time being. Because the influence of Captain Rogers is too great. Peggy Carter isn't dead yet. In S.H.I.E.L.D., many people gave her face. Unless Rogers is settled, there will be a lot of trouble at that time. Just then, the voice of Jarvis sounded. Mr. Stark, important information, there is a huge monster with yellow shit in Harlem. General Ross is dispatching on-site troops to round up. Quote, Tony fell in love with being Iron Man. Because Captain Rogers said that saving people can reduce their sentence in hell. That's why he had Jarvis monitor it all. Hearing what Jarvis said, Tony was startled. Take the live video. In the projection, the brightly lit Harlem area, at the moment became full of flames. I don't know where the camera recorded everything on the street. A terrifying monster with a height of more than 2 meters and hideous muscles. Running wildly in the street. Those cars were blown away like toys in his hands. And countless soldiers are fighting this big guy. But bullets had no effect on that monster. What's even more frightening is that even the rockets have no effect. Jarvis, prepare the armor, I want to go there, I hope I can make it in time. Nick Fury at the moment pulled out his phone. S.H.I.E.L.D. will cooperate with your actions. I also need to go. At this moment, Captain Rogers spoke directly. Nick Fury gave Captain Rogers a serious look. Tony went over and he was fine. After all, the opponent has a powerful armor. And he also knew that he couldn't persuade the other party. All you can do is give support. But Captain Rogers, his body hasn't fully recovered yet. Captain, it's too late to go now. In fact, I may not be able to catch up now. Besides, your body has not recovered yet. I don't want you to report to Death God so soon. Quote, Tony said as he walked towards the armor storage area. Don't want to report to Death God so soon. Rogers understood the meaning of this sentence. This time, if Captain Rogers is dead, then really go to hell. Seeing that shit yellow monster can't even be hurt by rockets. Whether it's Tony or Rogers, they don't know what to do. What's more, they are too far away from Apple City, Harlem. Even the Mark armor will take a long time to fly over. In a place that cannot be seen on the TV screen, a phantom ghost gate has opened here. Numerous ecstasy messengers shuttled constantly among the crowd. The ghosts of the dead one after another were sent to the gate of hell. Before the ghost gate closed, Chin Hao was quietly waiting for something. Is this soul special? You came here in person again this time. Hela sensed this at the moment. Chin Hao's secret excitement. Chin Hao let out a long breath of relief. That's right, this soul is very special, but I still have to wait for another even more special soul. Abominations are special, but nowhere near the Hulk. Chin Hao, Hulk is waiting. What? Help. Quote. Countless shouts echoed throughout the block. Horrible explosions and gunfire covered all of this again. Suddenly, a figure descended from the sky and hit the ground fiercely. Boom. The ground is broken. A green figure appeared in front of everyone. On the fighter plane, General Ross even began to pray in his heart at the moment. Pray that the Hulk he's been hunting down wins. Because he knew he was screwed. After this time, he may lose everything, even go to prison. And if Hulk defeats the Abomination, he still has a chance to resist. Roar. The huge green figure looked up to the sky and howled. He tore off the torn clothes casually. The Abomination in the distance heard the sound. The whole person became extremely excited. Hulk, you're finally here, I've been waiting for you for so long. They're all worthless. You beat me last time, this time I want to let you know how good I am. Quote. The Abomination rushed towards Hulk frantically. Seeing this, Hulk rushed over without saying a word. He came down just for this monster. This monster is just like myself. Boom. The two huge bodies collided fiercely. But the Abomination is originally a well-trained special soldier. Even though the Avatar hates him, he still retains Bronski's consciousness. He is an Abomination, and so is Bronski. His fighting skills and awareness far surpass Hulk. In the air, the Abomination completed the stance adjustment. He leaned over and threw Hulk to the ground. Not only that, but he also used the technique of borrowing force when he landed. Boom, boom, boom. Hulk was thrown out directly. The ground of the entire block was smashed to pieces by Hulk. The car next to it was like paper paste. As soon as they fought, hatred gained the upper hand. He stepped on a car and roared condescendingly. Come again, Hulk, are you that weak? On the other side, an angry Hulk smashed a police car with 2 punches. Hold the front half in one hand and the second half in the other. It's like wearing a boxing glove. Roar, Hulk roared again. The hatred rushed over regardless. Boom, boom, boom. The rushing hatred was directly stunned by Hulk. The car fell apart under the violent fist. Hulk sent the abomination flying with his final punch. Immediately after rushing up and holding down the hatred, it was a fat beating. Boom, boom, boom. The violent fist made the hated head swing from side to side. When Hulk stopped to check the results, hate just spat in disgust. Is this the amount of patience? His anti-beating ability is amazing. Hulk became more and more angry, waved his hand and punched him again. When Hulk's fist was about to come down, he saw the opportunity and kicked Hulk away. The violent force sent Hulk smashing through a row of houses. Immediately afterwards, the abomination made a beeline for the Hulk-smashed house. He's going to get the Hulk. The battle between the two monsters was clearly seen by Chin Hao and the goddess of death. Is this what you're waiting for? But this green titan is not as good as that yellow titan. The yellow titan's skill has the shadow of a warrior. And that green titan is fighting purely with his physical body. The yellow titan is a mature fighter. If it were me, I'd make him my warrior. Quote. Hela commented. As the goddess of death, she leads the Asgard warriors across the 9 realms. Hatred is the warrior in her mind. A qualified fighter. Even, in Asgard, the strength of the abomination is top-notch. Chin Hao smiled, then looked at Hela. You were right, if it were me, I would choose him as a fighter. In fact, he is the warrior I prepared for you to fight back against Asgard. When you return to Asgard, there will be a mighty army at your disposal. Quote. Hela's heart trembled when she heard this. Are you preparing for me to counterattack Asgard's army? Hela asked with a trembling voice. Inside her at the moment was a strange feeling. Originally, she thought that Chin Hao just wanted her to become Hu Chang. Because she knew that Chin Hao would become even more powerful in this way. Regarding this point, Hela actually has no objection. Everyone, even God, is for himself. Otherwise, I would not have fought for my beliefs. However, she didn't think of it. Chin Hao was actually preparing for his own counterattack against Asgard. All this time, he has never expressed anything in this regard. Could it be that this is a man? Giving silently without taking any credit. The inexplicable touch made her eyes seem a little moist. Her breathing also became a little short. Chin Hao smiled. If you don't put in a little effort, how can you turn into the shape of Hu Chang? That's right, not only the yellow titan, the green titan is also the warrior I prepared for you. You want to take both. Yeah, that's why I've been waiting. Chapter 11. Want to get both. Chin Hao has his ambitions. Green Titan doesn't look like a qualified fighter though. But his physical fitness is strong enough. There is no doubt about his strength. And, didn't you notice that when he was fighting, his strength was constantly improving? Quote. Hela heard this and looked carefully. It's really getting stronger. How could this be? She also developed a strong interest in Hulk at the moment. A titan that grows stronger as it fights. This is a super soldier. You can't meet such subordinates in Asgard. In fact, as soon as Chin Hao said it, she reacted. With such a powerful individual, both of them are definitely drawn to be fighters. Don't move here, I'll take them both down. Chin Hao Yinshin disappeared directly at the gate of hell. When it reappears, it's the area where the Hulk and the Abomination are fighting. The two monsters couldn't see Chin Hao, who was wandering around the Yin God. Roar! The angry Hulk roared and threw the Abomination away. The place where it landed was exactly Chin Hao's area. The morning stick in Chin Hao's hand hit Abomination fiercely. Boom! The morning stick passes through the body of the Abomination. Leaving the body together, there is also the soul of hatred. A illusory poop yellow behemoth was just like that, beaten out by a morning stick. And his huge body, at the moment, hit the ground directly and fiercely. Once the move was successful, Hulk followed closely. Boom, boom, boom. The vicious fist hit the hateful body one after another. However, the loathsome body did not respond. Looking at it like this, the abominable soul was dumbfounded. What's going on here? Why can't I move? Why have I become a phantom? He looked at his phantom figure with horror on his face. Why, there are two selves. Why, that self didn't respond. Then, he seemed to think of something. Could it be that this is the soul? Is he dead? Otherwise, why would the soul leave the body? No, I can't die yet. His soul rushed towards his body frantically. But then, a figure stood in front of him. All in black. Wear a top hat, waving a stick in his hand. The loathing had just rushed in front of him. The opponent hit him with a stick. Boy, you are courting death. This little man dared to attack him. This is courting death. His soul shook his fist. Slammed toward each other fiercely. He could even imagine the scene where the other party was turned into meat sauce by his own punch. But, everything is not as he thought. The small morning stick in his eyes hit his soul phantom directly and fiercely. Boom, the loathsome soul felt a huge force. Qin Hao's soul is the level godfather. No matter how strong the hatred is, it is impossible to defeat him now. Moreover, his attack on the soul originally was targeted. Boom, the loathsome soul smashed out directly and fiercely. He shook his head. Hate finally got up, but at the moment, a chain appeared in the hands of the man in black opposite. Just when he was horrified by the opponent's astonishing strength, the chain directly bound his huge phantom tightly. Fact, who are you? His phantom is constantly vibrating. But no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't break free from the chains. The soul hook is aimed at the soul. Noisy. Qin Hao yelled loudly, and the hook tied the hatred even more firmly. Restraining the abomination, he walked towards the Hulk. At the moment Hulk stopped punching. He looked at the motionless loathing on the ground with a puzzled expression. This big man who beat himself down. Why did he die suddenly? He got up and shook his disgusted body. Hate doesn't respond. Died. Really dead. Roar. He raised his head to the sky and howled. Like a beast declaring his victory. But, where he can't see it. Qin Hao had already walked to his side. The hook in his hand directly penetrated Hulk's body. Immediately afterwards, two souls were directly hooked out. A massive Hulk, and a thin man. Seeing the two souls appear, Qin Hao had a smile on his face. Sure enough, it seems that my plan may be possible. The hook seems to extend infinitely. In the blink of an eye, these two souls were also bound. The moment when two souls leave the body, Hulk, who was screaming up to the sky, also fell to the ground in a blink of an eye. Roar, the crazy Hulk soul is constantly struggling. It's a pity that even he couldn't break free from the shackles of the hook. On the contrary, it was Dr. Banner. At the moment, he looked shocked. I'm separated from the Hulk soul. I'm separated from the Hulk soul. Dr. Banner at the moment was completely stunned. What he has never been able to do is easily done by the other party. Quiet, Qin Hao gave an order. The three bound souls fell silent for an instant. The seductive rope in his hand directly wrapped around the bodies of Hulk and Abomination. Two huge bodies were pulled into the gate of hell by him. This body is useful. Hela, next, these two generals will be handed over to you. Well, I am very satisfied. Hela is perfectly content with the Abomination and the Hulk. Both fighters are super soldiers even in Asgard. It can be said that these two are sure to win. Maybe it was Odin and herself. She never thought that Qin Hao had been making such preparations for himself to fight back to Asgard. At the moment's Hela, the eyes are flowing with light. She looked at Qin Hao with rippling eyes. Then swipes across the Abomination and Hulk's soul. These two are the fighters Qin Hao prepared for himself. A strong sense of happiness spread in her heart. As for Qin Hao, he has his own plans. Hulk may be the last piece of the puzzle in Helm Hades. And Hela will be the key for him to break through the Western Hell. After the Gate of Ghosts is closed, countless Yin soldiers maintain order on Wangquan Road. Qin Hao handed over the bodies of Hulk and Abomination to the two teams of Yin soldiers. The Yin soldiers carried two bodies and followed behind Qin Hao's group. Listen, you three, you have caused endless carnage in Harlem, and you will be punished in hell. Qin has different ways of dealing with different people. This time, he's going to scare the Abomination, the Hulk, and Dr. Banner again. The murder of these three people is not small. Just enough to throw the other party into the endless hell. This is worse than the pain Tony felt at the beginning. Hell, Dr. Banner's voice changed. How did you go to hell? The hatred that was struggling, at the moment also stopped struggling. He is also sensible. What I wanted was to fight, but why did I go straight to hell? Only the furious Hulk was still constantly struggling. He has no brains when he's angry. Chin Hao didn't speak anymore, he maintained Hu Chang's aggressive style. Let's bluff the three of them first. Cross Wonquan Road. He directly threw the three souls into the endless hell. Tongue-pulling prison, scissors prison, iron tree prison. Ah, ah, crazy and painful cries came from their mouths. No one can bear that kind of pain. The experience of 18 layers of hell is over. Even a combat madman like Hate feels mentally fragile. Even Hulk's anger turned to pain. Hell punishment. Directly act on their souls. It is too painful. After trying all kinds of punishments, the three figures were pulled up. This is what you are going to suffer. According to the sins you have committed. The punishment time you will receive in hell is also different. But even the least people will suffer decades of punishment in the underworld. Quote. Chin Hao threatened again. It's not a scare, if they really die, they will indeed be punished like this. Decades. Hearing this sentence, the three people at the scene all had shortness of breath. No, I don't want it. Hulk, don't either. The two big monsters, Abomination and Hulk, struggled crazily at the moment. It's a pity that they were firmly restrained by the hook. As for Dr. Banner, he at the moment seems to have no strength to speak. If you want to avoid punishment, you must become a member of the underworld and do things for the underworld. All the time you were punished was replaced by the time spent working for the underworld. You can re-enter reincarnation after the effective time is over. Quote. After Chin Hao finished speaking, 3 tokens appeared in his hand. A token is the same as an ordinary ecstasy order. But the other 2 tokens had the word, Pioneer, written on them. Pioneer Order. That's who he was for the Abomination and the Hulk. Underworld, Vanguard General. Don't these 2 like to fight? Then let the 2 of them fight. And it's fighting on the front line. There are countless undead in Hades waiting to be captured and returned to hell for punishment. After solving Hades, you can also help Hela fight Asgard. There will even be other Hell Lords invading later. Fight, never lack. He handed 3 tokens to 3 people respectively. The 3 of them took a look and took the tokens one after another. A huge amount of knowledge penetrated directly into their minds. Hulk and Hate had excited smiles on their faces. Fighting. I like. As for Dr. Banner, at the moment, he looked resigned. Seductive. Then be seductive. Ding. The underworld has been bound to the soul of a key person, and the underworld has the priority to collect the soul. Reward 1. The authority of the underworld in Helm's underworld has been increased. Reward 2. The physical strength of the host is improved. Reward 3. The strength of the host's soul is improved. Reward 4. Increase the number of Yin generals in Helm's underworld. A series of system prompts appeared in Chin Hao's ears. However, he at the moment has no time to pay attention to the system. The moment the 3 of them accepted the token, the entire underworld trembled crazily. It was as if there was an earthquake here. Boom. 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 The hall of the King of Hades, the 4th hall is rising from the ground. In a blink of an eye, Hela's palace was completely surrounded. Hela looked in the direction of the hall of Hades with a dignified look at the moment. Her palace was completely surrounded. Dian of the King of Hell, is that how it appeared? She didn't see it the first few times. When Hades Hall completely surrounded Eludanir Palace, a huge amount of divine power continued to disperse in all directions from the Hades Palace. The entire Hyam underworld, at the moment, was affected by this divine power. Boom. The entire Hyam underworld vibrated crazily. Countless undead seemed to have suffered the end of the world. Chin Hao, at the moment, the momentum is rising again. Hela looked directly at him. In the eyes, it reveals unbelievable. Level Godfather peak. You have really reached such a level. Although Hela had thought that Chin Hao would reach such a level. But what I didn't expect was that the other party would reach such a level so quickly. Level Godfather peak. This is Chin Hao at the moment's Yin God strength. The system had 4 rewards just now. The first reward allows Hades Hall to complete the siege of Hela's palace. This also means that Chin Hao's control over Helm's Hades has officially surpassed Hela. But it doesn't matter. Because he didn't intend to compete with Hela for permission here. What he cares more about is the strength improvement of his soul and physical body. Flesh, at the moment may have come close to loathing this horror. But in calculations, it may only be at the level of the sub-celestial father. However, his yin god strength has reached the peak of level god father. At the moment, his yin god can even fight Odin. He took a deep breath. This is consistent with his guess. Hulk's soul can really make the Temple of Hades complete the encirclement of the Temple of Hela. And once the encirclement on all sides is achieved, the whole of Helheim will be under his control. In Helheim, he could really do what Hela did in Asgard. Hela, even being stabbed by the spear of eternity in Asgard, is instant self-healing. This is the terrifying strength of the level god father peak. Injuries heal instantly, nearly unlimited stamina. However, this is also his current limit. Still wanting to continue to improve, he obviously felt that he would need more and stronger souls. After his strength has been improved, the vibration of the entire Helm Hades gradually stabilized. Ding, the host has complete control of Helm Hades. Helm Hades has completely turned into a layer of hell. New task. Ask the host to open up a second layer of hell, and recommend finding a new underworld or hell. Next to Chin Hao's ear, the voice of the system came again. When the earthquake was over, both Chin Hao and Hela had a strange feeling. Helm Hades has completely changed. The palace of the King of Hades has been fully formed. Ghost Gate Pass, Wangquan Road, City of Dead Death, Tongue-Pulling Prison, etc. have become more expansive. At the moment, such as the Wangchuan River, Nehi Bridge, and Sansheng Stone, which did not exist before, have also appeared in the world. Here, it really became a layer of hell. It belongs to the unique hell of the East. And no longer Helm Hades, one of the 9 realms. Even, it seems that the scope of Helm Hades has expanded a lot. More ghosts can be accommodated here. Chin Hao kept paying attention to the new tasks given by the system. Find a new Hades or hell. Open up the second layer of hell. He understood at the moment that this was not the 18 levels of hell in the traditional sense. The system makes changes according to this world. It is only necessary to constantly look for the underworld that is suitable for the soul to survive. Then transform them into the underworld. So that's it. Is this a hell where you want to rob others by yourself? Compared to opening up the underworld by yourself, it is most convenient to directly occupy Helm Hades like now. Because in this way, the system doesn't even need to change the environment of hell too much. Moreover, there are natural soul passages in those places, and there are even countless souls inside. As long as I occupy such a Hades, it is equivalent to 1 step. Moreover, it is because I found a place like Helm Hades that I was able to improve my strength so quickly. If you are just looking for a place to build the underworld, the system needs to expend countless amounts of energy to change the environment. In that way, the energy used to improve oneself's strength will be reduced. Even if it is a system, you can only choose one between changing the underworld and improving your own strength. Chin Hao had a clear understanding of the system tasks in the blink of an eye. However, he looked around him. In addition to his own level Godfather peak, Dr. Banner is just an ordinary person. Abomination and Hulk at the moment may both be just level sub-Godfather. And Hela is now at the level of an ordinary Asgard. The others are some ordinary Yin soldiers rewarded by the system. To snatch other hell, the difficulty is not ordinary. Every mature Hell Lord almost has the aura of being invincible in his own hell. Hela, on the other hand, cannot do this in her own Hades. Her roots are in Asgard. Hela saw Chin Hao's expression clearly. Did you understand something? I think you have a feeling of sudden enlightenment. Chin Hao smiled. Well, I probably know how to improve myself and how to improve the underworld in the future. Hell, can it be improved? Definitely. However, let's settle the matter of their 3 souls first. Chin Hao's gaze turned to Abomination, Hulk and Dr. Banner. Hate and Hulk's body, lying on one side. When the 3 of them saw Chin Hao, they instantly calmed down a lot. What choice? Dr. Banner offered to speak as the most normal person. You 3 souls have only 2 bodies. The first option, as before, each return to their own bodies. That way, Banner and the Hulk are back together again. Quote. Dr. Banner shook his head constantly upon hearing this. What about other options? Just kidding, I finally separated from Hulk. If you continue to use the same body, what is the difference from the original? And after getting the soul ecstasy order, he knew more things. What they do in the world will indeed receive more punishment in the 18th floor of hell. Even now they have become ecstasy messengers. But if you continue to do evil in the world, it will still prolong his service in the underworld. So this option was directly ruled out by him. Second option, the Abomination and the Hulk each return to their own bodies. I reforged Banner's body with divine power. In this way, even Banner can have a good strength. The only problem is that divinely forged flesh will cost you the ability to reproduce. Quote, after all, it is pure divine power and cannot make people pregnant. Hearing this option, Banner was actually moved. Just being unable to reproduce is better than competing with the Hulk for bodies. He hasn't thought about assimilating with the Hulk yet. Because he hadn't been beaten by Thanos, who snapped his fingers and wiped out ordinary life. However, since Death God has given 3 choices, naturally he wanted to hear it all. What about the third option? The third option, you discuss with the Abomination, you occupy his body. As soon as Chin Hao finished speaking, Dr. Banner was surprised. And hatred, at the moment looked at Dr. Banner with murderous eyes. That's my body. If you dare to make such a choice, I will kill your impulse. Dr. Banner's expression changed. No, the body of the Abomination should be used by the Abomination alone. I choose the second method. Master Hu Chang, you play with me. Though Abomination seems more sensible than Hulk. But just because he is rational, he is more likely to kill himself. And snatch a body with a wise man. Might as well be with the Hulk. At least compete with Hulk, and he can take the initiative. Don't be in a hurry, wait for me to finish. Hate to abandon the body, I will use my divine power to reshape a divine body for you. Since the body shaped by divine power can make Banner have impressive strength. Naturally, a body cast with divine power can also make the Abomination stronger. The only problem is still the same, without a physical body, they cannot reproduce. Quote, as soon as Chin Hao finished speaking, his hatred eyes lit up. Use divine power to cast a body for me. My body, originally, cannot reproduce. Strength. He has always wanted strength. As for reproduction, who else can reproduce with him now? Who can withstand his devastation? With what he looks like now, who can he breed with? Besides, reproduction is not as interesting as fighting. He looked directly at Dr. Banner. My body is for you to use. If you don't use it, I will kill you directly. Hate is that direct. As for that murderous look just now, it's as if it doesn't exist at all. It even seems to be afraid that Dr. Banner will go back on his word. He brought up Dr. Banner. Rub Dr. Banner into his flesh. Dr. Banner, without even a chance to resist. And Hulk, at the moment, was laughing. Ha ha ha, Banner, ugly. Banner, hit. As Hulk said, he attacked Dr. Banner. No, he attacked the flesh of the Abomination. In the same body as Banner, he couldn't do anything. But now, he has a way. Dr. Banner kept suppressing him. He was already upset. Boom, boom, boom. The two behemoths fought directly in Helm Hades. Overall, Hulk had the upper hand. After all, Dr. Banner's fighting skills are really bad. Worse than Hulk. And Hate, at the moment stood in front of Chin Hao excitedly and expectantly. Divine power forges the body. One step closer to strength. This is what he wants. Otherwise, how could he receive immature strengthening serum injections? And why choose to use Hulk's serum? Very well, you made one of the most mature choices. You will find how correct your choice is in the future. Quote, Chin Hao said I was done, and stretched out his hand towards the palace of Hades. Immediately afterwards, a group of shining golden objects directly gathered in his hands. The other hand directly grabbed the loathsome soul. The golden substance and the soul of hatred are directly combined. A burst of golden light flashed. Hate felt as if he had a body again. He clenched his fists, full of power. Hela saw all this clearly from the side. Level Godfather. You raised him to level Godfather. The original Abomination is definitely just level sub-Godfather. He couldn't even beat the Hulk after all. And Hulk, before his anger accumulated, fell into the hands of Thanos, the sub-celestial father, for the time being. However, under Qin Hao's subordinates, he directly possessed the strength of the level God Father. Although it is only a first-time entry into level God Father. But that is also the level God Father. Hateful and excited, he saluted Qin Hao. He was still Bronski's will. Thank you, Master Hu Chang. Abomination, you will find out how wise your choice today will be. Go and beat up those two fighters, and test your own strength by the way. Quote. Yes, the Abomination, gleaming a little gold, made a beeline for Hulk and Dr. Banner. Because of the relationship of divine power casting. His color had changed from shit yellow to golden yellow. Full of force, blind people's eyes. The reason why Qin Hao said that the choice of hatred is the wisest. Because the strength of the Abomination can still be improved. As long as Qin Hao's strength increases, the strength of Abomination will increase accordingly. If Qin Hao entered the realm of the gods, abominations are likely to reach the pinnacle of level God Father. Anyway, there is still a big gap between the peak level God Father and the God level. Odin puts on the destroyer armor, and there is nothing he can do about the celestial group. Definitely, these things have nothing to do with the present. However, the number one general under Qin Hao who hates Duoduo. Boom, boom. On the other side, three big guys are running around in the underworld. The golden figure directly pressed against the green and poop yellow figures. Ha 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 ha. Power. This is power. Hulk, smash. Don't hit it, this is your body. Isn't it uncomfortable for you to hit yourself in the face? No, from now on, he's not there anymore. Hulk, smash. Quote. The three figures directly beat the sky and the earth into darkness in Helm Hades. The green and shit yellow figures beaten by the golden figure kept retreating. The ground is broken. Rocks are as fragile as bread. Here, don't worry about any damage at all. And the three of them are rough-skinned and thick-skinned people. It's really hard to fight. The strength of the Abomination and Dr. Banner is constant. But Hulk has almost no ceiling. After being suppressed and beaten by hatred for a long time, he became more and more angry. And his strength gradually became stronger. Level God Father. He also passed that stage. Even, his strength is still constantly improving. Hela, how are you? Three warriors, can you bring them back to Asgard? Qin Hao looked at Hela and asked. A rare tenderness appeared in Hela at the moment's eyes. Why are you being so nice to me? I'm Hu Chang, I want you to be my Hu Chang. Let's go together to seduce the soul and determine life and death. Hela's face became more and more shy when she heard Qin Hao's words. Myself, I can't become Hu Chang yet. However, I want to have the power of the East after I regain Asgard. Because, I have a guess that breaks through the peak of level God Father. Quote. Hela seemed to think for a long time, and finally decided to speak. Break through the peak of level God Father. That's right, you should have felt it too, and now your strength has actually reached a certain limit. Qin Hao nodded. There is indeed something that seems to be preventing my strength from continuing to improve. After becoming the pinnacle of level God Father, he felt that it was becoming difficult to improve his strength. But he doesn't care. Because there is a system, he will be able to break through after all. The most important thing is to find a little more important souls. Such as Thor, Doctor Strange, Scarlet Witch. Throughout Marvel, there are too many special souls. His strength improvement will not stop. It just depends on how much it consumes. But looking at Hela's appearance, it seems that there is some secret at the peak of level God Father. Although I don't want to say it, Odin's strength is the most powerful among all the heavenly fathers. And level God Father is actually a name for the gods of the earth. Odin, Zeus, King of Egypt, etc. are all level God Fathers. Odin has been at the peak of level God Father for a long time, but he hasn't made a breakthrough until now. We Asgardians have a long lifespan in the universe. Odin is stronger and his lifespan is longer. But he is still old. Because he can't break through. Above the level God Father, there is a stronger power. Those people are called gods. Every god has at least millions of years of life. If Odin breaks through the celestial class, he will also have millions of years of life. Asgard with the god Odin will grow stronger throughout the universe. However, he couldn't break through. Be it Zeus or the King of Egypt, neither of them can do it. Above the level God Father is the real God. I occupy Asgard and will soon reach the peak of level God Father. But if I can't break through, I can live up to Odin's age. Originally, I had no other ideas, just take back Asgard. But I met you, and your strength improvement is really amazing. Moreover, Eastern divine power is too mysterious. I was thinking about when I was at the pinnacle of level God Father in Asgard. Become the god of the Eastern pantheon again. At that time, I had the power of the two major gods. Is it possible to break the spell of the level God Father? Moreover, I became Hu Chang at the peak of level God Father. Can you also use this to break through the level God Father and become a god? Then we too would be true gods. Could be together for millions of years. Quote. After Hela finished speaking, a shy expression appeared on her face. Chin Hao was stunned for a moment when he heard the words. Hela expressed her heart. More importantly, he knew a secret. Secrets about the level God Father. Chin Hao at the moment finally understood that Hela had already slipped through the impermanent suit. It proves that she actually has the idea to become Hu Chang. But she kept waiting and did not accept the order of impermanence. It turned out that she had been waiting for a day to break through to the peak of level God Father. Become a real god. Hela didn't know that Chin Hao could break through to the peak of level God Father in other ways. But she has been waiting patiently. It is obvious that after becoming Hu Chang, he can have the power of the Oriental gods. In that way, she will have great strength. Even teaming up with Chin Hao, maybe they can counterattack back to Asgard. But she held back. She is waiting for Chin Hao to become the pinnacle of level God Father. She waited for Chin Hao to accumulate strength. Then rely on strength to get back Asgard. Become a god king in Asgard. Achieve the pinnacle of level God Father there. Then, with invincible momentum, become the god of the Oriental pantheon. In that way, both of them might be able to break through to the peak of level God Father. Achieving the position of God. Happy for thousands of years and happy for millions of years. Hela chose the latter. She wanted to be with Chin Hao for a long time. Seduce your soul together. Take a stroll along Wangquan Road together. Plant flowers on the other side together. Let's enjoy the Wangchuan River together. When Chin Hao heard these words, he boldly hugged Hela directly into his arms. I know, I'll get Asgard back for you. If Odin dares to stop, kill Odin. Chin Hao whispered in Hela's ear. I know, I see, you're doing it. Hela also responded softly. In the place of forgetting love, the lips of Chin Hao and Hela touched together. The contact of two yin gods is a real spiritual friendship. The boundless and gloomy Heim Hades. Countless ghostly evil spirits roam freely. The ground was torn apart by three terrifying big men. However, this did not affect Chin Hao and Hela's embrace. Today, move to the palace of the King of Hades. Okay, roar, Hulk, smash, boom. But this warm moment did not last long after all. Hulk, the Erha, finally suppressed the hatred with boundless anger. With one punch, he sent the hatred flying in the air. It hit Chin Hao and Hela directly. This moment of tenderness was destroyed, and Chin Hao was furious in a blink of an eye. Hulk, believe it or not, I'm throwing you back into hell. He was really angry. I just experienced the ghostly feeling of death god. It was interrupted directly by Hulk. Hey, Hulk, smash. Hulk at the moment is on the verge of anger, and just won the abomination again. He is also true. Chin Hao almost laughed angrily. Court death. He stepped forward, and the morning stick in his hand instantly turned into a giant stick. Boom. The horrible morning stick slammed down on Hulk's body. Hulk's whole body was smashed into the soil like a nail. However, Hulk's powerful physical body made him resist the blow. When Chin Hao raised the morning stick, Hulk rushed out again. Boom. Just got out of the ground, another stick smashed down. Boom, boom, boom. One stick, another stick, countless sticks. At first, Hulk wanted to fight back. But after countless blows, Hulk was completely stunned. In the end, he couldn't even bring up his anger. Off to one side, Abomination and Dr. Banner exchanged glances. Their eyes were full of sympathy and fear. Mr. Hu Chang, you can't be messed with. Hulk, that's too reckless. Idiot. Hela on one side watched the battle on the other side with a smile on his face. No matter where he is attracted to Chin Hao. At least he's a man willing to fight for himself. It has been decided, I will move to the palace of the King of Hell today. Hulk, throw in the towel. The one who was beaten was Hulk, who had no strength to fight back, and finally gave up. Heard Hulk's surrender. Chin Hao finally stopped. He also has to admire that Hulk's strength improvement after getting angry is indeed very powerful. Capable of defeating abominations whose strength has been raised to level Godfather. His strength has also reached the middle stage of level Godfather. The only problem is that it takes time for the Hulk to build up his rage. If you beat the opponent in this time period, then Hulk can't help it. But now there is an advantage. Because he won't transform into Dr. Banner again. So even if you defeat him, the impact will be limited. Maybe even inadvertently, Hulk exploded again. This makes it more difficult for opponents to suppress Hulk. Chin Hao let out a sigh of relief. Then let's talk about the business, you will still face a choice. He watched the three of them speak again. Hearing Chin Hao say something serious, the three of them were obedient like obedient babies in an instant. Even Hulk. He is angry, not stupid. You can choose to work in the underworld next. Fight with me, so as to pay for the sins you have done. You can also choose to return to Earth to live. After your death, your soul will come to the underworld to work again. What about your decision? Quote, I'm not going back to Earth. I'm not going back to Earth. Chin Hao turned his head and looked at the other party. Hate the first statement. As a war madman, he likes the feeling of fighting in Hades. Hulk, don't go back to Earth. Earth, don't like Hulk. Hulk followed suit and spoke his mind. Although you will be beaten here. But here he can also smash casually. I don't know how many undead were smashed in the battle just now. But these undead are broken when they are broken. Just let the Yin soldiers collect these undead and throw them into hell. After receiving the punishment, he will be released again. And because it was broken by them. Even because they are the pioneers of the underworld. Being broken by them can be regarded as a punishment. Can reduce the sentence. No one on Earth likes him compared to that. Then what is he going back to do? Dr. Banner was tangled up at the moment. He at the moment has transformed into an abomination. Ferocious and terrifying. He wanted to go back, to see Betty. But like this, it's useless for him to go back. If you really go back, you will be treated as a monster instead. We are like this, can we go back? Dr. Banner shook his head resignedly. Definitely you can go back. In fact, your actions have been monitored by an organization. How is it possible? I avoided the pursuit of General Ross, what organization can still find me? Also, since organizations can find me, why don't they restrict my freedom? Quote. Why restrict your freedom? Definitely to keep me from wreaking havoc as a Hulk. Dr. Banner's expression was definitely determined. You speak ill of me. HMPH. Hulk was very angry when he heard this. Talk bad about yourself to your face. Bad guy. Chin Mo shook his head. You have been hiding around all these years, how many times have you been destroyed? Instead, General Ross pushed you into a hurry. In the end, it caused even more damage. So once the two outcomes are chosen, others will know what to do. Not every organization is General Ross. Quote, Dr. Banner heard it, and felt that it really made sense. What's the name of that organization? SHIELD. Then, I want to go back and have a look, and I want to meet Betty. Harlem. At the moment, it was not long before Chin Hao brought hatred and Hulk entered Helheim. The whole block at the moment is still ablaze. Explosions, gunfire, and cries for help continued. General Ross, we have lost sight of those two monsters. The soldiers kept reporting the progress of the first search. How is it possible? Why did they suddenly disappear? General Ross muttered to himself. Betty at the moment has some ideas. Perhaps, the two of them had already turned into human forms and fled in the dark. Since Hulk can take human form, then there's a good chance that the yellow monster can too. Nobody wants to be a military guinea pig. Bruce, I hope you can escape smoothly. She prayed silently in her heart. Just then, General Ross's phone rang. General Ross, you've screwed things up, and the super soldier program is now on hold. Another internal branch is about to make a move, and they have taken a fancy to Stark's armor. Now, they're preparing to force Stark to hand over his Warframe technology. Even ordering armor from other companies. All the funds allocated to you have been allocated to them. We're out of money. Quote, the person on the phone immediately hung up the phone. He was not at all polite to General Ross. There has always been competition within the military. Ross stands for the Super Soldier Project. The purpose is to create a powerful individual, to create a super soldier like Captain Rogers. The representative behind Colonel Rhodes is the representative of the firepower weapon. Tony's weapon development has a lot of credit for them. Military spending is limited every year, so there is naturally competition between the two sides. This time, General Ross screwed up. Ruined. The Mark armor flashed a bright light in the air. Tony has been keeping JARVIS on track with what's going on in Harlem. What was originally one monster turned into two. The military has nothing to do with them. The whole of Harlem could be facing destruction. He at the moment, distraught. When we get there, at least lure those two monsters out of the city. He has his own plans. Mr. Stark, Colonel Rhodes is calling. Come in. Yes, Mr. Stark, already connected for you. Immediately after that, a voice rang through the communication channel. Tony, aren't you at the villa? I have something to do with you. What's up? About selling your armor technology. I've already said, if you don't sell it, why are the people behind you still asking? There was silence on the other side. It's not because of those two monsters in Apple City, Harlem. The Super Soldier Project failed, and the repercussions were dire. In order to save the image of the military, that's why I want to use your steel armor to save part of your reputation. Quote. Tony was helpless when he heard that. Unfortunately, it is not for sale, and, are you overestimating the power of my armor? I'm heading to Harlem, and even I'm not sure I can defeat those two monsters. Quote. He has self-knowledge, although I believe in my armor. But he knew that it was impossible for the current armor to defeat those two monsters. There was no reaction at all to the rocket. The ammo power on his armor is also limited. He needs to make a large armor specifically for that kind of monster. Are you going to Harlem? No need to go, we have internal information, those two monsters have disappeared. Disappeared. Tony, who was flying, almost crashed. Disappeared. So possible. JARVIS, invasion scene footage. The live image has been transmitted. JARVIS directly sent the picture over. After watching the screen, Tony at the moment also looked surprised. Why did they disappear? The monster has indeed disappeared, and the scene is being cleaned. Some people speculate that maybe the two monsters recovered and fled the scene. Colonel Rhodes revealed all his internal speculations. Is it? There's a good chance that's the case, so you can come back. Also, as your buddy, I will tell you something privately. If you don't want to sell your armor, someone inside will find a way to force you to contribute. They have other preparations, and I heard that they have already contacted Hammer Technology. The military allocated funds to Hammer Technology to develop your armor. Quote. Colonel Rhodes' phone call not only conveyed the request from above, wanting to get the armor, but also told Tony to be careful. Hammer Technology. Make a bet, if they can develop it, I will hire you a cover girl later. As CoverGirl Reaper, Tony is willing to give CoverGirl away. This is a big gamble. Forget it, the CoverGirl won't like me, as long as you know it yourself. Wait, the hatred appears again. At this moment, Colonel Rhodes exclaimed. He hung up the phone directly. JARVIS, invasion screen. The screen has been transferred. Immediately afterwards, Tony saw a startling scene. That yellow figure that disappeared not long ago. At the moment appeared on the scene again. Not good. The yellow monster appeared again. Everyone on guard, everyone on guard. Ask for support, the third block asks for support. Quote. Countless instructions sounded in the channel. This is the internal picture of the military. Stolen by JARVIS. Accelerate, focus more energy on the thrusters. Tony speeds up. In Harlem, all soldiers are ready for battle. The support force at the moment mobilized by General Ross has also arrived. All kinds of heavy firepower have been arranged. Fires on command. General Ross on the plane at the moment is also ready to give orders. I was scolded by my boss just now, how can I not get something to extinguish the fire? Every unit, get ready. Wait, I'm Dr. Banner, Bruce Banner. At this critical moment, the yellow monster below spoke. He growled and spoke to all the soldiers around him. That hoarse voice that belonged to hatred. The shock made everyone's ears tingle. Bruce Banner. When Betty heard the name, she immediately became energetic. General Ross was also puzzled. Bruce Banner, isn't it green? This yellow one is obviously the monster that caused all this. Seeing heavy weapons, do even monsters know they're lying? General Ross saw it all. All units, fire. Boom. Boom. Da da da. Da da da. Terrifying firepower covered the yellow monster. Bruce Banner, who occupied the loathsome body, was stunned for a moment. His combat awareness is not even as good as Hulk's. Countless shells were fired over. Countless bullets covered the entire block. Avoid. Banner, dumber than Hulk. Just when Dr. Banner didn't know what was wrong, a huge green figure directly kicked Banner away. He even laughed at Dr. Banner. At the same time, a golden figure went straight to the incoming shells. Boom, boom, boom. The golden figure directly sent these shells flying everywhere. It was as if the entire neighborhood had been attacked indiscriminately. After a round of artillery fire, all the attacking soldiers were dumbfounded. Here, what happened? Why? 3 monsters appeared. Is this kind of monster the kind that keeps hitting more and more? Quote. They at the moment, their hearts trembled. There is a sense of fear spreading all over the body. The attack just now was actually directly blown away by that golden monster. How can I fight this? On the plane, General Ross weakly let go of the communicator in his hand. 3.1. This time I'm really screwed. A Hulk is a lot of trouble. It took countless hours for them to catch each other. This was because the other party had given him an acupuncture before he was caught. But as soon as Hulk was caught, another yellow monster came. Haven't recovered yet. There is a third one. The world is full of malice towards him. Don't fire, I'm Bruce Banner. At this time, the yellow monster below shouted towards the surroundings again. Bruce Banner, he kept shouting, but everyone's attention was not on him at all. True Abomination and Hulk, at the moment is constantly destroying. The heavy weapons aimed at them around them were removed one by them. The angry Hulk couldn't control his temper. And hate, don't want to control your temper at all. Someone is aiming at himself, then kill the other party first. If it weren't for killing too many people, the prison time would be extended. He wanted to kill everyone here. Everyone, don't fire. General Ross finally issued new orders. General, our heavy weapons have been dismantled. If we want to fire, we can't. Ross. General Ross was speechless. He is now thinking about what to do here. If one is not handled well, there will be another big battle here. 1 abomination is enough. Now 3. This is something that will kill him. The entire Harlem district once again entered an extremely tense situation. In another world, at the moment is even more tense than outside. Crack, crack, crack. The sound of countless glass shattering sounded. A mirror dimension that enveloped the entire Harlem area instantly pulled Hao and Hela in the dark. In the mirror dimension, magic shines in the hands of the bald man in the yellow robe. It was Ancient One who came. At the moment Ancient One even has Eye of Agamotto hanging on his chest. The god of the underworld from Helm's underworld, take your believers away. Her expression was extremely serious. Finally got your attention. Hao, who incarnated as Hu Chang, looked calm at the moment. But the morning stick in his hand was ready for battle. Suddenly pulled into the mirror dimension. Can you believe that there is no hostility? Ancient One, I thought you would appear on Earth the last time you opened the gate of hell. The soul has its own destination, and I won't interfere too much. Hades was originally just one of the places where the soul goes. All I know is that since I became Sorcerer Supreme, Hades has always received very few souls. Some time ago, more souls were suddenly absorbed. I was also a little surprised. However, the battle for souls belongs to the Lords of Hell, so I will naturally not interfere. Quote. Since you don't care about souls, why did you take action this time? Hao also didn't understand why Ancient One made a move at the moment. Agamotto's crystal ball suddenly levitated just now, and I knew there was a magic wave here. I used the cauldron of all things to look at the universe below, and found that Hades disappeared. Had just disappeared, and the 3 of them appeared here. Even the magic power on one of them is almost exactly the same as that of you, the god of the underworld. The other two also have the imprint of the divine power of the underworld god. If you say they have nothing to do with you, no one will believe you. Also ask Hades to take them away, the earth cannot tolerate their destruction. Quote. Ancient One was talking with a solemn expression on his face. He glanced at Qin Hao, and then fixed his gaze on Hela. She observes countless futures through the time gem. Through the cauldron of all things, I learned countless secrets of the universe. But today, she discovered a terrifying thing. Helm Hades disappeared from perception. It's as if Helm Hades is shrouded in some kind of strange dimensional space. After that, the whole world disappeared directly into the real universe. However, she knew that this was impossible. If the whole world really disappears, a wide range will be affected. Helm Hades obviously exists, but it can't be seen. Immediately afterwards, the Agamotto crystal ball in the holy place suddenly levitated. And it accurately pointed out the magical events that happened in Harlem. Here, some kind of spatial magic appears. And there is also a terrifying powerful magic power, divine power, appearing. That's why she came here. At first she thought it was Hela, the goddess of death, descending on the earth. However, the god of the underworld today is an oriental god. Only she knows the shock in her heart. How could the Eastern Protoss occupy the position of the Western god? The Helm Hades of the goddess of death are all occupied by the gods of the East. Could this be the reason why Helm Hades disappeared? However, even the future observed by Time Gem does not have this scene. The god of the underworld descended to the earth. Does it mean that such a horrible thing is about to happen on the earth? Those three monsters are their vanguard. The Ancient One at the moment is constantly thinking about these things in his heart. As for the last time I opened the ghost gate to collect souls. Instead, she didn't care. The soul, after all, needs a place to go. Even after her own death, the soul must have a home. This is the basis for the development of the universe. Hela's expression changed slightly when she heard Ancient One's words. Helm Hades has disappeared from the world. Her voice was even a little trembling, and a little excited. Just came out of Helm Hades. So she didn't know that Helm Hades had actually disappeared from other people's observations. And Qin Hao at the moment seemed to understand something. This is a change in the underworld. Let the whole underworld not be observed. This is also the self-protection of Helm Hades' incarnation of hell. You know, Asgard's Bifrost can launch long-range attacks directly. The original Helm Hades is also under the cover of Bifrost. Once a conflict occurs, the entire Helm Hades will be under attack at any time. Therefore, the system directly hid Helm Hades. Still exists, but cannot be observed. If it cannot be observed, it cannot be located. At the moment's Helm Hades barely escaped the threat of Asgard. Qin, is the change in Helm's underworld a special ability of the underworld? If it is not targeted by Asgard, it can only be released when fighting Odin. Otherwise, he directly used Bifrost to destroy Helm Hades. All our efforts are in vain. Quote, Hela spoke excitedly. Hearing this, Ancient One's calm face immediately turned into a look of horror. Fighting Odin, Hades versus God's domain, underworld versus God's domain. Ancient One's usual calm expression turned into incomparably appalled at the moment. The information revealed by Hela is really horrifying. Helm Hades, at the moment seems to be planning an attack on Asgard. Others don't know what Asgard stands for. But as a sorcerer supreme, how could she not know? That is the place where the king of God Odin, who is known as the Lord of the Nine Realms, lives. It's not that the line of Sorcerer Supreme hasn't fought against Odin. The Sorcerer Supreme of the previous generation even lost to Odin with artifacts such as the Sorcerer's Eye and the Ball of Agamotto. The Sorcerer's Eye works similarly to the Time Gem. It is also able to see through the future, and even dispel all illusions and darkness. Not even the false reality created by the Reality Gem can escape its power. And the Ball of Agamotto is a treasure that can detect the crisis of the universe. Without it, the Sorcerer Supreme can only use the cauldron of all things to survey the universe. Odin has that much power. But the two Hades in front of them wanted to attack Asgard. As for the disappearance of Helm Hades, it was entirely their preparations to prevent Bifrost's attack. This is a premeditated war. The battle between the gods and the underworld. What will this world be like in the future? Ancient One at the moment even has an idea of using the time gem to take a peek into the future right away. The battle between Hades and God's domain, perhaps. Qin Hao at the moment was noncommittal. Even if you want to fight in God's domain, please don't put this battlefield on the earth. As the Sorcerer Supreme of Earth, I will keep Earth safe. Quote. Ancient One has even more magical energy in his hand. Even Qin Hao saw a mark on Ancient One's forehead. The imprint of absorbing the magic of the dark dimension. Seeing this mark, Qin Hao suddenly wanted to know the strength of Ancient One. Moreover, his own strength has risen to the peak of level Godfather. Haven't fought anyone yet. It doesn't count if I say it, and it doesn't count if you say it. If you want me not to put the battlefield on the earth, then you need to show the power that makes me afraid. Quote. After he finished speaking, the morning stick in his hand instantly became huge. Ancient One's face was ugly. Then let's talk about it. With a wave of magic power in her hand, the entire mirror dimension began to flip continuously. Hela, you went out first, it's too dangerous for you here. Qin Hao waved his hand, and the ghost gate flashed behind him. He sent Hela to the gate of hell. Hela at the moment, who was sent out of the mirror dimension, gritted her teeth. Himself has become a burden. I am the goddess of death. Across the 9 realms, the goddess of death who has killed countless people with fear. It turned out to be a burden. Ancient One, when I get back my physical body and recover my divine power, I will fight with you myself. She can't bear this anger. In the mirror dimension, Ancient One looked dignified. The god of the underworld on the opposite side, I can't stop myself. He can leave whenever he wants to. That gloomy portal is as mysterious and powerful as the portal. Let me see how strong Sorcerer Supreme is. The morning stick in Qin Hao's hand instantly became extremely huge. A slamming stick hit Ancient One directly. This ever-twisting dimension has no effect on him. Because he can fly. The wind was blowing under his feet, and he walked against the wind. Killed directly towards Ancient One. Ancient One saw that the mirror dimension could not affect Qin Hao. She waved her hand again. The entire mirror dimension is constantly flipped outwards. This is to increase the spatial distance in invisible. Qin Hao clearly felt that the morning stick could hit Ancient One with one stick. But now it is a bit out of reach. HMPH, small tricks. The morning stick in Qin Hao's hand changed instantly. A soul hook appeared in his hand. The whole soul hook was biting towards Ancient One like a python. No matter how Ancient One dodged, the hook bit her hard behind. I see how many people you can tie up. Ancient One at the moment's body is like Avalokitesvara. Immediately afterwards, countless hers were separated from the body. The shape of Achan. The dense crowd of Ancient One at the moment turned around and killed back. A few Ancient Ones were unable to dodge and were restrained by the soul rope. But the hands of more Ancient Ones are constantly shining with magic light. Taking advantage of the chaos, several belt-like magic belts wound directly towards Qin Hao. That's obvious. Do you want to bind? I bundle with you. Magic crimson chains. The scene where Hook Soul Suo was chasing Ancient One was reversed in a blink of an eye. The dark wind rose again under Qin Hao's feet. The whole person retreated rapidly. He doesn't want to touch the crimson chain now, because it might attract the attention of Cytoric in the Crimson Hell. The war against other hells has to wait until he is ready. More than people, I've never been afraid. 100 ghosts walking at night. Qin Hao thought silently in his heart. Behind him instantly appeared a ghostly shadow. As soon as the ghost gate was opened, countless ghost chi spread out from inside. In a blink of an eye, all directions were directly occupied by pitch-black ghost energy. In the whole space, you can't see your fingers. Not only that, but in the pitch-black ghost atmosphere, countless evil spirits roamed about inside. It depends on whether you have more people in Ancient One, or there are more evil spirits behind me. Ah, ah, ghosts cry and wolves howl in the entire mirror dimension. One after another Ancient One was thrown down by evil spirits in the invisible ghostly aura. But Ancient One at the moment is not panicking. A group of Ancient One at the moment's hands shone with red light. One after another, terrifying thunderbolts crisscrossed in this eerie ghostly aura. Thunder of Basset. A powerful magic that is powerful but needs to be passed on gradually. The countless evil spirits in the ghostly aura just happened to be the objects passed on by Sabbath's thunder. Moreover, thunder has a great restraint effect on ghost aura. Countless evil spirits were directly wiped out in this wave of attacks. But the power of thunder has no restraint effect on Qin Hao, who has divine power. It's just ordinary thunder damage. And this spell requires something to pass on. Qin Hao flickered slightly, and the opponent's spell was directly interrupted. The two fought back and forth, and countless things in the entire mirror dimension were torn apart. As for Qin Hao, he had already collected the information he wanted. Your magic power has reached the peak of level Godfather. Your magic power has reached the peak of level Godfather. Qin Hao saw the power of Ancient One at the moment. Moreover, your strength is also limited. The peak of level Godfather is really the limit of people in this world. After passing this level, you are a god. That's when it's really a different level. Your astral projection power is equal to mine, and our battle is fruitless. Ancient One at the moment also knows it well. After some fights, she actually felt more and more difficult for this underworld god. She has mobilized Dormammu's dark dimension powers, but still unable to suppress the opponent. You know, even if Dormammu came to Earth, he might have such strength. And Dormammu is the god of a lot of time. In fact, the two were just trying to test each other's strength. Never thought about fighting to the death. So at the moment tacitly stopped. Your magical power is strong, but your physical body is too weak. With the magical power of level Godfather peak, it seems that you can't get any closer. Quote. Qin Hao casually added another sentence. Even Odin couldn't get past the peak of level Godfather. Let alone people like us. After the level Godfather, it is another world. Quote. Ancient One sighed slightly. An ordinary person relies on his own magical ability. Being able to become the pinnacle of level Godfather is already considered astonishingly savvy. If she can enter the god level, there is no need to absorb Dormammu's dark magic to maintain his body. The body is too weak, and all the pressure is concentrated on the spirit. She must be constantly bewitched by Dormammu. In order to maintain a long life, she is actually very tired. It was her idea to break through the level Godfather. Unfortunately, it was too difficult. Ancient One, I have a plan with Hela, the goddess of death. A plan that may break through from level Godfather to celestial level. Are you interested in participating? Quote. Qin Hao sent an invitation directly to Ancient One. In the face of Odin, it is always right to call more people. Break through to the god level. Is this why you attacked Asgard? Ancient One instantly remembered what Qin Hao and Hela said. Fight Odin. It turned out that the reason why they did this kind of thing. To become a god. That's right, this is an attempt. Since there is the god of magic, why Shandy, don't you want to see if you can break through? Qin Hao began to bewitch. Difficult, too difficult, Asgard rules the 9 realms. Yuheim Hades are now gone. But the earth cannot hide its whereabouts. Once we make a move, maybe we will end up fighting together in the end. So I won't make a move for this. Quote. Ancient One wanted to become a god though. But she has her own bottom line and responsibilities. Otherwise, it would be impossible to stick to our heart and protect the earth for hundreds of years. If she had to use any means, she would have been bewitched by Dormammu long ago. Don't you want to do it? What about another way? A way that doesn't require you to do it. You don't need me to do it. Just need you to make a gesture that you might shoot Asgard. After success, Odin Treasure Curry can return to you everything that originally belonged to your Sorcerer Supreme. Quote. Upon hearing this, Ancient One's pupils shrank. If you don't make a move, you can learn the way to become a god. Even if the opponent does not become a god, he can still get 2 treasures. The power of those 2 treasures is not small. One of them is named, Waishandi, to know its strength. This is a bargain for nothing. But she quickly pressed down. That's after you win, but you may not win yet. I can't put the earth in danger for 2 treasures. Quote. Reason is his magic weapon for protecting the earth for so many years. I said, all you need is a gesture. In fact, when we attacked Asgard, you could have Odin trade those 2 artifacts with you. And the deal is that you don't deal with Asgard. I imagine Odin would be more than happy to trade 2 useless artifacts for your neutrality. No matter how we win or lose, you can take back the treasure that belongs to you. As for this incident, Odin troubled you afterwards. I think you can take that little risk. Quote, Chin Hao continued to bewitch. But, what good does this matter to you? On the contrary, I got 2 treasures for nothing. Ancient One questioned. Chin Hao smiled. Exchange Odin's treasure for your neutrality, what benefits do you think I have? Ancient One was shocked when he heard this. The way she looked at Chin Hao changed. This man is a devil. Odin gave 2 treasures, and I, though neutral, offended Odin for this. And you, what you pay is only a way to possibly become a god. If you succeed, then you are a god, and I can't do anything about you. You fail unless you are eliminated on the spot by Odin. Otherwise, if you escape, I might have to help you fight Odin. After all, I forced 2 treasures from him. You give nothing but Odin loses treasure and I lose true neutrality. In Eastern culture, it's really a good trick to be a white wolf with empty gloves. Quote, Ancient One at the moment's heart was full of defense against Chin Hao. This god of the underworld is too terrifying. Just a few words shook my heart several times. The point is, he is obviously playing the white wolf with empty hands. But he said it with such peace of mind. So, Ancient One, do you agree? Chin Hao was not at all embarrassed by the empty-handed white wolf. Don't worry, I will attack you with Odin. Odin pays the treasure, and I help him deal with you, isn't it safer? Quote. Ancient One thought of something else. Chin Hao looked at Ancient One and smiled. The combination of 2-level God-Father peaks, I really can't match. However, I am Death God, and my favorite thing is the soul. There are still too few Protoss in Asgard, and their souls were taken back to Soul Castle. There are many, many souls on Earth. Would be a nice addition to Underworld. Once a war breaks out on Earth, countless souls will fill this world. Other Hell Lords may also be interested in this place. Quote. Ancient One's whole body seemed to be fried. She heard Chin Hao's meaning. If you help Odin yourself, he doesn't mind turning the battlefield to Earth. The Protoss of Asgard are personally powerful. It is not easy to attack. But there are too many ordinary people on the Earth. Once the war broke out, too many people died. It will definitely attract the attention of other Hell Lords directly. In that case, the whole Earth will be plunged into a real hell. Threaten. This is a blatant threat. Sure enough, this is what the devil should do. Ancient One Magician, in fact, you don't have much choice. All you can do is be neutral. The only difference is whether you can get a little benefit when you are neutral. But to get some benefits, naturally need to bear a little price. Odin, at least, seems more benevolent than I am now. 3 big guys out there, I'll take 1. The other 2 are originally products of the Earth. These things need to be handled by themselves. I think you don't want to be too involved in this kind of thing. Quote. After Chin Hao finished speaking, he opened a ghost gate directly behind the golden hatred. Hate, I'm back in the underworld. A ferocious smile appeared on the face that hated terror. Too weak, boring. He turned directly and entered the gate of hell. Mortals can't see the gate of hell. So in their sight, the hatred suddenly disappeared. This situation caused a commotion on a small scale. Hulk on the side also shook his head and walked towards the gate of hell. Bruce. At the critical moment, Betty's voice sounded. She even charged directly at Hulk. She got off the plane to keep Bruce Banner. Betty, I'm here. Dr. Banner, who hates flesh, is worried that Hulk will hurt Betty. So he directly stopped in front of Betty. Are you really Bruce? Who is he then? Betty was dumbfounded. On the plane, she saw this big yellow man calling him Bruce. Could it be that he really is? Who is that green titan? Bruce, why did you become such a terrifying look? Hulk, stay and explain it to them with me. Dr. Banner grabbed the Hulk who was about to leave. They don't like Hulk. Hulk doesn't explain. Hulk was about to shake off Banner's hand. Hulk, you just stay on Earth for a while. If they really don't like you, I'll pick you up then. Banner, Hulk, don't reveal the existence of the underworld. Otherwise, you will be easily targeted by demons from other hells. Quote. At this time, Chin Hao took the initiative to speak. After he finished speaking, he closed the ghost gate. He was counting on Hulk and Dr. Banner to bring out more people. It's good to hate a person and go back to Heim Hades. Hulk can't leave, Hulk is staying here. He was sulking like an angry bear kid. Dr. Banner and how they explained that Chin Hao no longer cares. Somebody will figure it out anyway. Now that both Dr. Banner and Hulk at the moment have sanity. Then S.H.I.E.L.D. will absolutely pull them into the organization. After sending away the hatred, Chin Hao glanced at Ancient One. If you can see the future, you should know that this world is no longer safe. It is hard to say whether the heroes on Earth can defend the Earth. But if you want to protect the Earth, maybe you really need a stronger force. A method that may break through the gods depends on whether you care. And, one day you die, I might be interested in your soul. The soul of a person at the pinnacle of level Godfather. Top quality even in hell. Looking forward to our next meeting. Quote. After he finished speaking, he disappeared directly behind the ghost gate. In the dimensional space, the god of Ancient One is inexplicable. This underworld god is really too difficult to deal with. She knew clearly that the other party actually stopped. Because, the opponent has never chosen melee combat. She could clearly feel that the other party's physical strength was also terrifying. Physical strength is no less than that ferocious monster outside. Although they are both at the peak of level Godfather, there is still a gap in actual combat. At least, physical strength will be reflected when receiving the same damage. Hades is born this time, it seems that we are going to make some big moves. Ancient One muttered to himself, and opened a portal back to Holy Place, New York. She actually didn't care about the three monsters. Because she knows, someone will deal with them. She came here just to see Hades. After the ghost gate is closed, on Wonkwon Road. Hela, Helm Hades is gone, the next thing we need to do is wait for Asgard's response. I know, but your eastern underworld is so mysterious that you can hide a world directly. Hela at the moment admires Chin Hao more and more. The 9 realms have existed for countless years. Now, it has disappeared. Can Heimdall's eyes still see Hades? If not, then it will be easier for them to face Asgard. If only Heimdall could still see Hades. What will they do again? Will Bifrost destroy Helm Hades? And in Asgard, at the moment Heimdall rubbed his eyes. Hades, why did it disappear? The end of Bifrost. Heimdall observes the stars of the 9 realms daily today. Most of the entire 9 realms are peaceful. But suddenly, his ears seemed to hear the sound of vibration. He turned his gaze to the direction where the voice came from. Helm Hades, a world full of undead. The home of the soul. All these years he guarded Bifrost. This world is full of chaos and death. Because there is no guidance from Death God. The number of undead inside is constantly decreasing. In the true sense, the land is vast and the ghosts are rare. Even Heimdall rarely looks here. But today, an earthquake that swept across the entire world unexpectedly occurred in this world. What's going on here? Is there any new change in Hades? That's when his attention came to Heimdall. Suddenly, there seemed to be a fog over Heimdall. Immediately afterwards, the entire Heimdall disappeared directly from his sight. He rubbed his eyes in disbelief. Hades, why did it disappear? Helm Hades, disappeared. Heimdall has seen endless death of stars. So have the mentality of being familiar with everything. But at the moment, he was completely stunned. Helm Hades. This is a world. The whole world disappeared. The 9 realms has become the 8 realms. Who would believe this? He turned straight and charged towards Asgard. Ruined. This must be told to Odin. Asgard. Odin, the god king of the 9 realms, looked a little tired. He already felt the load on his body. Originally, the older he was, the stronger he would be. Because his divine power will become stronger and stronger with age. But it's not without cost. Every once in a while, he needs to use deep sleep to adapt his body to divine power. However, recently he found out. His body has been unable to keep up with the growth of divine power. Even if Odin sleeps, he cannot adapt to the divine power in his body again. In other words, the current him not only cannot become stronger. Even because of physical reasons, his strength is decreasing. My lord, you should take a good rest. Frigg supported Odin, who was panting a little, and tried to persuade him. Yeah, it's time for me to rest. You say, should I pass the throne to Thor now? Wouldn't it be too cruel for him? There was a gleam in Odin's one eye. Thor is a good boy, I'm sure he'll be up to it. Frigga gave an affirmative answer. Then test Thor one last time, and then let him be crowned king. Odin made his decision. Hearing this, Frigga sighed. Hey, I know what you're thinking. You've been testing Thor, you've never wanted him to inherit the throne of Asgard, you just don't want him to put on this yoke. Ragnara paragraph mark K. Once Thor is on the throne, there's no turning back. Quote. Frigga shook her head helplessly. Ragnara paragraph mark K. Asgard will eventually disappear in the hands of Surta. I don't want their siblings to kill each other. Odin's voice was low. Hey, it's a pity, kid Hela, otherwise you wouldn't be so tired. Is that child Hela still making trouble in the banning of divine power? Quote. Hearing this, Odin slightly mobilized the divine power in his body. Immediately afterwards, his expression suddenly became strange. Amidst the divine power ban, there was silence. See Odin's look. Frigg was a little nervous. Honey, what's the matter? Something happened to Hela. Could it be that Hela is about to break free from Odin's seal? Odin shook his head. Then the one-eyed expression revealed incomprehension. I can sense that Hela's body is still sealed. But, why is she so quiet now, and she is not making any noise at all? Quote. What? Frigga felt that she had heard wrong. Hela stopped making noise. How is this possible? This is close to 2,000 years. Odin checks the containment cage every once in a while. And every time Hela rushes left and right inside. She always wants to break out of Odin's seal. This time, why didn't the other party make a fuss? Could it be that Hela has been modified? Frigg said casually. I don't know, the entire divine power ban is peaceful. Otherwise, you let Hela out to have a look. Odin was a little moved. But at this moment, hurried footsteps came from outside the hall. God King Odin, something is wrong. It was the first time Odin and Frigga saw Heimdall in such a panic. What happened? Odin regained that majestic God King in a blink of an eye. Hades has disappeared from my sight. The 9 realms has become the 8 realms. Heimdall spoke directly. Odin, who heard the news, felt his breath stuck in his chest instantly. What did you say? Hades disappeared from my sight. The 9 realms has become the 8 realms. Heimdall emphasized again. Come here, go to the treasure house to get the ball of Agamotto. Come here, go to the treasure house to get the ball of Agamotto. Odin issued a new order directly. Since ancient times, the 9 realms have been the 9 realms. Even if there are no living beings in some realms, at least that world still exists. As long as all of this exists, a miracle may be ushered in at some point. But this time, Hades disappeared directly. The 9 realms, which existed for countless years, directly became the 8 realms. How is this possible, even if he is a god king? Even though he has seen countless things. But the direct disappearance of a world was beyond his heart's tolerance. Because, this is where he rules. A group of soldiers went to Odin's treasury and retrieved the orb of Agamotto. The ball of Agamotto can observe the entire universe. I want to see if Hades really disappeared. Quote. After Odin finished speaking, he directly inspired the ball of Agamotto. The picture in the ball keeps flashing. The 9 realms appeared inside one by one. Warnerheim, Jotunheim, Nidavel, Muspelheim. After a circle, the 8 realms are all seen. The only thing missing is Hades. Odin read it again incredulously. But the result didn't change at all. Hades, has it really disappeared? Only he himself knows the shock in his heart. He even had a strange idea. Oneself, maybe it will be passed down forever. In other words, it has left a bad smell for hundreds of millions of years. Because, during the period when he ruled the 9 realms, the 9 realms directly became the 8 realms. There is a world, lost by myself. God King Odin, what should we do now? Heimdall asked. Send the fleet to enter the original star field of Hades for investigation. It can't be detected by long-distance detection, and I don't believe it can't be seen at close range. There is no big shock in the universe. At least it proves that that world still exists. Otherwise, severe collapses would occur in the area closest to Helheim. Also, Heimdall, a quick look at the rest of the 9. See if there are any changes. Especially the changes about the undead. Quote. Odin issued orders one by one directly. The entire Asgard Protoss began to operate constantly. Countless gods' domain soldiers sailed to the depths of the universe on Asgard's airship. What they are going to is the area where Helm Hades used to be. Heimdall, on the other hand, scanned the entire 9 realms, the 8 realms. Odin, Helm Hades is the fiefdom of Hela. Do you think this matter has something to do with Hela? Frigga seemed to think of something. There was a gleam of gold in Odin's one eye. Heimdall, focus your attention on Midgard and see if there have been any undead being taken away in Midgard recently. Odin immediately issued new orders. Hela was sealed in Midgard by him. Truly Hela naturally leaves some mark on Midgard. God King Odin, I saw the dead spirit of Helm Hades in a battlefield in Midgard. Heimdall finally spotted the anomaly. Hulk and Banner, who possesses the flesh of the Abomination, have been to Helm Hades. They naturally have the breath of Helm Hades. The people of Midgard were also talking about the fact that the 2 figures had disappeared. Now, it appeared again. The time is just right. Odin was shocked. It really is Hela. No wonder she is so quiet. Her soul pierced her own seal. But why can't I feel nothing at all? Heimdall, quickly contact Thor and Loki, and led his team to Midgard immediately to investigate the Helm Hades. Yes, God King. Heimdall took the lead. After everyone disappeared, Frigg spoke again. Odin, what seal does Hela rely on to break through? How did she return to Helm Hades? After breaking through the seal, I didn't come to you. It seems that her heart is still full of hatred. What are you going to do? What role can Thor and Loki play in Midgard? If it really messed with Hela, the 2 of them may not be able to fight together. You are letting them die. Quote. Frigg's tone was full of worry. Odin glanced back at Frigg. I know, I won't let them die. They are pioneers. First go to Midgard to confirm that Hela is really there. In fact, I believe that Hela has returned to Helm Hades. I will have more Asgard armies ready. Once they find Thor, they are in danger. These armies will descend upon Midgard through Bifrost. Moreover, Hela's body was also sealed. Without the support of divine power, her strength is limited. What I'm most worried about now is what method Hela used to hide Helm Hades directly. She was trying to avoid Bifrost's attack. Or, she has now given up on Asgard. Ready to just run her fief Helheim. If so, it's Asgard's luck. The 3 siblings finally don't have to kill each other. Quote. Odin comforts Frigg. He didn't even believe the last reason. If you really want to give up Asgard, then Hela will come to Odin for a showdown. Take back your physical body, and then return to Helm Hades. If that's the case, he won't hide from Helm Hades. This is apparently to avoid Bifrost teleportation. Asgard's transfer can't be hidden from Thor and others. The carefree Thor looked at the spaceship flying into the depths of the universe. Go ahead and ask Odin what happened. But when Loki came out, there was a sense of joy that an opportunity had come. With so many people leaving Asgard, his plan is one step closer to being implemented. But at this moment, Heimdall found 2 people. God King Odin has an order. Thor, Loki, you take Sif and others to Midgard immediately. Thor is excited. You can go out to fight again. It's a lot more fun than drinking here in Asgard. What are you doing there? Investigate the affairs of Helm Hades. Investigate Helm Hades. Why go to Midgard? Because Helm Hades disappeared, and now, the 9 realms have become the 8 realms. Thor. Ha. Loki. Ha. Thor and Loki's expressions are in rare agreement. Helm Hades disappeared. The 9 realms became the 8 realms. Even Loki, who wants to plot at the moment, was also shocked by the news. Helm Hades, that is the dwelling place of the undead. Although the Protoss of Asgard will be led to Soul Castle after death, so they don't have much interest in the dwelling place of the undead. However, even if they are not interested, it is still one of the 9 realms. Why disappear now? Disappeared, and the last place where the breath of Helm's underworld appeared was Midgard. So next, I'm sending you to Midgard. Quote. Thor immediately summoned his squad, the Asgard 4. Add him and Loki, and the 6 make a beeline for the end of Bifrost. Get ready, I will directly teleport you to the last place where the breath of Helm Hades appeared. Also, you guys have to be careful, that place is dangerous right now. The armies of Midgard are fighting there. 2 monsters with amazing strength also appeared there. Quote. Heimdall made a special reminder before Bifrost. He could see the strength of the Hulk and the Abomination in flesh. But the opponent was too weak, and he couldn't judge how strong those two monsters were. But no one listened to his reminder. The mortals of Midgard are really not worth mentioning, and it's not like we haven't been there. Thor holds Mjolnir with disdain on his face. That's right, other worlds may be a little dangerous. Midgard, I really can't think of any danger. Loki agrees. They are all short-lived species, and they are regarded as mortals of the gods. What's worth noting, it's good that you know what you have in mind. Heimdall is just a word of caution. In fact, he didn't think any monsters in Midgard could threaten the Asgard Protoss. A terrifying voice sounded. Bifrost leads directly to Earth. Harlem. At the moment, a group of soldiers are busy transferring everyone here. Hulk and two monsters calling themselves Bruce. Still confronting the soldiers inside. You, take it as this body using my serum. So my soul consciousness is directly transferred to this body. If you explain it this way, you may understand. Quote. Hear this explanation from Bruce. Someone finally believed something. It's possible that those who replace their organs sometimes inherit some of the habits of the organ donor. If this body is really Bruce, what now? Since you are Bruce, follow me back to the military. General Ross at the moment can only bring back the two of them as much as possible. Hulk won't answer. Hulk wants S.H.I.E.L.D. Hulk wouldn't listen to General Ross. He still remembered what Chin Hao said. On Earth, perhaps only S.H.I.E.L.D. would accept them. S.H.I.E.L.D., a group of soldiers are inexplicable. They had never heard the name before. General Ross was startled when he heard the name. Could it be that S.H.I.E.L.D. wants to cut off the beard? Did you hear me wrong? We don't have a place like S.H.I.E.L.D. Hulk won't go without S.H.I.E.L.D. The Hulk played a tantrum now. General Ross's head was filled with worry. These guys, why do you always give me problems? At this moment, a colorful beam of light descended from the sky. In Holy Place, New York, the Ancient One magician suddenly looked in the direction of the beam of light. Aren't you finished? She, who has always been good-tempered, also had a cold look on her face. Haven't shot for a long time, has everyone forgotten Sorcerer Supreme? After the Ghost Gate was closed, Chin Hao stopped in his tracks. Through the Vanguard order on Hulk, I saw colored beams of light descending from the sky. Perhaps, Asgard descended on Earth. Quote, okay, let's go take a look. Hela at the moment's face was covered with frost. Asgard, sure enough, sent someone to show up. Harlem. The colored beams of light dissipated, and 6 figures stepped out of it. Foolish mortals of Midgard, come and meet Thor of Asgard. As soon as Loki came out, he started taunting straight away. He looks down on Midgard mortals more than Thor does. His arrogance is engraved in his bones. But as soon as he finished speaking, a huge green figure rushed over. Boom! Loki was knocked out with a punch. The terrifying force sent Loki crashing through at least 2 buildings before coming to a halt. Loki is lost. How is this going? Was he blown away the moment he showed up? What hit me? It looks like a huge green monster. What the hell is that? Who are you? What are you doing? Do you know who I am? Thor was directly stunned by the attack for a moment. His younger brother was just blown away by a punch. How powerful are the mortals of Midgard? Blind Hulk. Hulk is angry. Thor, Asgard foursome, everyone. What? Blind, what's the reason? Hulk knocks Loki away with one punch. There was no intention of stopping at all. He punches Thor again. Standing in front of the crowd, smash it first. Thor resisted Hulk's fist, but Hulk's fist roared at Thor again. Boom. Thor, who had just blocked a punch, was sent flying again. The remaining foursome of Asgard are at the moment a formidable enemy. Turns out, that's what Heimdall said he wanted us to pay attention to. He didn't say that this is the situation here. This guy is simply a monster. This Midgard is so dangerous. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.